Hello everyone, it's Anna, also known as That Star Wars Girl, and before the video starts, I just wanted to let everyone know that I have an Indiegogo live right now of my very first comic book cover ever. So if you like me and you want to support my artwork, go on to the Indiegogo, the link is in the description below, and check out some of the tiers, and if you support it, it would mean the world to me. Thank you so much everyone, and now on to today's video.
I think that the thing that George never did was maintain the status quo. And I think that that's really important because
fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
It certainly surprised me to hear Luke say it's time for the Jedi to end. I said, what?
Yeah.
Luke was the most optimistic, hopeful character. And
Yes.
I had a real, sort of a back and forth with Ryan. I said, Ryan, a Jedi doesn't give up.
I remember you.
Luke would never say that. I'm sorry. Well, in this version, see, I'm talking about the George Lucas Star Wars. This is the next generation of Star Wars. So I almost had to think of Luke as another character. Maybe he's Jake Skywalker. He's not my Luke Skywalker. He's not my Luke Skywalker. I said to Ryan, I said, Jedis don't give up. I mean, even if he had a problem, he would maybe take a year to try and regroup. But if he made a mistake, he would try and right that wrong. So right there, we had a fundamental difference. Who is this guy? How did the most optimistic, hopeful character in the galaxy turn into this hermit who says it's time for the Jedi to end? I read that and I said, what? I mean, that's not what a Jedi does. I mean, a Jedi is optimistic. A Jedi has tenacity. He never gives up. He doesn't secrete himself on an island. But you'll.
something that George initially set out to do was a kind of 3-act saga with these 3 trilogies. And I think we felt that we should honor and respect that.
Liar! Liar! Liar!
He did. He wrote the script, which I'm sure a lot of people don't necessarily realize.
What's up everyone, it's Anna, also known as That Star Wars Girl, and I am joined today by Jessi Milestone, my co-host and my partner in crime, and we are going to talk about shit today.
Your intro was just reminding me. Do you remember? I don't know. I'm in this video. There was one of our awesome, because I don't know if you guys are aware, but like the Fandom Menace is full of a ton of these like small collective channels where people will get together, like different small creators get together and put together really fun stuff. And so a while ago now, ages ago, May 30th of 2019, they put out Luke Would Never Say That song. Star Wars Antics is the one that put that out. And I don't know if you remember that happening, but for those of you who didn't catch that when it happened, can I share a little bit of it real quick?
Yeah.
Awesome, because it was super. I might fast
forward
forward
that intro. Thank you.
That's such a great intro. I might fast forward a little bit because as you'll be able to see clearly, it starts on Jeremy's face, and nobody needs that in their day.
Are you sharing your audio?
Yes, I am. Let's find a. Ooh, oh my god.
What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video. And today, we're going to talk about Luke. That's not Luke Skywalker. It's just not Luke Skywalker. Jedi's don't give up. Jedi's don't give up.
I said,
Jedi's don't give up.
Luke wouldn't say that. Luke wouldn't do this. Luke wouldn't say that. Luke wouldn't do this. Luke wouldn't say.
This isn't going to get my channel flagged, is it?
Luke would never say that.
I'm ending all.
I just wanted to bring up my part because I found me. Now I'll play a couple clips. Just in my hair.
Mm-hmm.
It is Doomcock's in here. Other people. Oh, Jessi,
Drunk 3PO
in there.
Oh my gosh, this is like
this Odin, good old Odin, proper. Yeah, it's a fun. Abu's in there, but
blast from the past. Look at everyone's old background.
I know, old backgrounds, a year younger faces. But that's super fun. If you want to kick that link I'll send it to you in the private chat if you want to kick that link in the chat. People haven't seen it. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice value. If you enjoyed Anna's intro, if it made you feel good, like fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, what did you do to Luke? This video is just 4 more minutes of that. So
Yep.
Enjoy.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. I got this one. I like this one.
I'll tell you where I thought I came in the forest, when the lightsaber goes like this and flies off. I said, oh, what a great entrance. Ah! Rey caught it? She hasn't even been to Dagobah for training. What's the deal?
I love that one too. I've seen that one.
He's like, ah!
It's so poignant. God. Oh my God.
Like, that's where everyone was expecting. I remember, like, in the theater, I was like, oh my God, Luke, Luke. Ah!
You did that entire fucking movie for Luke to happen, and then it was like, what? What the fuck?
In this. Is he in this? And I was like, was he there? Did I not notice? And was it one of those things where, like, he was dressed up as a character and it's going to be the Easter egg, like, oh, who saw Luke Skywalker? It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Luke? But I got some stuff for us to talk about. So a lot of shit has happened. I mean, I've talked about some of it on my channel, but for the main part, I'm just like, does the world really need to hear me rant about this for 10 minutes, or do they want to wait and see it live with Jessi? I think that the latter has won out. So what we got to talk about today, stuff that's going to make us vomit.
Always.
Movies, world-renowned, cinematic masterpieces that have been removed because of racist. Someone lost their video games, and then there's a new Batmobile. So which one do you want to talk about first, Jessi? I know you want to talk about the stuff that makes you vomit.
Of course, let's get out of the way, So
We're going to periodically go. So you guys ready? You guys ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Vomit.
Oh, God.
There is an entire, like, Pinterest board that this person has to show off their love for this kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, they made Kylo short because he's he's a big dude. But yeah, you guys want to puke? There you go.
I don't know what people don't get about the fact that even if, let's say, because you can see very clearly in this picture, it's definitely it's a highly suggestive scene. If you've ever been kissed like she's being kissed in this picture, you know what this is the precursor to. These are two very horny people about to get it on. It's a very sexually charged image. And I'm thinking about, like, even if they were passionately in love in the film, that was a subtext where they were secretly passionately in love with each other, and that was actually real. Just because you're passionately in love with somebody doesn't mean you should be with them, and doesn't make the relationship not healthy. Doesn't automatically make the relationship healthy or non-toxic. I was in a relationship when I was younger. We were incredibly passionate about each other. The romance was hot as all get out, and so were the fights. The fights were just as passionate and brutal and upsetting, and we said and did things to each other that no people should say or do to each other. And it was terrible. He was older, he more culpable, you could say, but it doesn't really matter because it was an unhealthy relationship, and it's over. And it should not be celebrated, and it should not be lauded, and it should not be immortalized anywhere, in spite of how much we in the moment cared about each other and felt about each other. Like, passion, and just because y'all are passionate about these two people making out, like, consider, you can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways. You cannot live in a world where you say, okay, well, everything has a meaning. Anything that happens, anything that's written into a show or said or shown or depicted or thought of or spoken about is fucking canon, and we have to make sure that no one's offended and no one's upset, and everything is kosher on the up and up, and all of art has to reflect life directly. So we have to have diversity and these and that, and then sit there and go, oh yeah, but it's just a movie relationship, so it doesn't matter. You don't get it both fucking ways. Pick one. Pick one. Either it's just all in a movie, and so it doesn't matter how many characters are black or how many social justice issues we bring up in a goddamn Star Wars movie. All that matters should be making a quality film and what people like, what the audience wants. And if that's where we're at, if that's where we're at as a society, we all got on board and said, yeah, we bucked the identity politics and said, get that out of our movies, forget all of this stuff, it's all fantasy, then ship Reylo till you're blue in the face. I'm still gonna find it gross and hate it, but go ahead and do it. But in this world where everyone's getting canceled because you said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing or thought the wrong thing 15 years ago, you don't get a pass to ship this disgusting, abusive relationship when you're running around saying women's rights, women's liberation, strong women, powerful women, but you're advocating for your strong woman to be in an abusive relationship. What is wrong with you? You don't, anybody who ships Reylo has no grounds whatsoever to ever speak on feminism ever again. Yeah. I just,
damn. Yeah, you were going hard. I had to make you full screen. What do you feel about this one?
Oh God, I like the art style on it.
Oh, the style is fantastic. The whatchamacallit.
And that's the whole thing. It's like I feel like that tenderness only came into elements of their life. You don't see it at all between them until, you know, Rise of Skywalker, like after she kills him and is like, wait, crap, I want to unkill him. And from that moment on, there was this like weird tenderness between them that didn't exist. That only got injected into the damn movie because of the damn Reylos. And like, that's sweet. Sure, this picture, if you don't know who it is, it's a tender romantic, you know, exchange. And that dynamic is invented by Reylos. It's not there. It doesn't exist in the canon. You know, it's created by people who want it to be there. And if you want it to be there, that's fine. If you want to reimagine, and that's the whole thing, is like, fiction is fiction. If you want to have your fan fictions and reimagine their relationship so it is tender and sweet and loving and healthy, cool. But that's not these people. These people are the ones who want it in the movies, who are butthurt that they didn't get it in the movies, who harass Adam Driver in real life because he's married to someone who isn't Daisy Ridley. These are crazy, stupid people who don't understand. Like, if Reylo just lived in their little world of, this is my fantasy ship, it's not real, but I like to reimagine a relationship that is healthy between them, that's sweet and loving and caring, where he becomes a good guy again. Fine, imagine it, have fun. Don't fucking police the internet and hate on everyone who does not get on board with your creepy little ship. And sorry, because I noticed that I dropped the F-bomb before 10 minutes. I usually try to not drop my big swear words until after 10 minutes because I know, like, the monetization factors. It's like light profanity in the intro to your video. So I'm like, what counts as intro?
I mean, I already had a clip that was saying, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Orange Chat Reviews, thank you for these super chat. When will these Reylo idiots realize that their fantasy was built on mind rape? Yeah, mind rape of a mass murderer, mind you. That's literally how they described it in the novel, as a violation. It was.
Wasn't that one of like the
Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah, wasn't that one of the slogans like the Me Too movement was consent is sexy? Yeah, breaking into somebody's mind is violating their personal space without their consent. And turns out it's not sexy.
Oh, not in any way. But
nothing.
Okay, I got one more. Now, I think this is actually the best. Well, I wouldn't say the best, but I really like the style. I think it's cute. So out of all the ones that I've shown, I'm personally impartial. If it was different characters, I think it would be, in my mind, what I'm making excuses for this is that it's two kids cosplaying that are actually dating, because that's what it looks like. But you ready?
I don't know, but you know, you're gonna do it to me without like, oh God.
See, the style's really good, but this doesn't look anything like them.
Doesn't. It's cute.
It looks like two kids that are cosplaying, but I think that's the artist. Again,
funnily enough, I think
it's fantastic. The subject matter, not so much.
Not so much. So funnily enough, the one thing I think they got for Daisy Ridley in this one is her nose a little bit, that like upturned little cute nose thing. But yeah, no, it's not. And like, that's, you know, I do appreciate, like, I'm looking at like the, you know, the caption has been ruining your life since 1994. I have to say I have a little more respect and appreciation for the Reylos who put up these posts like that when we looked like I have a trash can soul and whatnot. I'm like, I respect that a little more because at least you acknowledge that you're shipping something gross and disgusting. Like, again, I'm cool. If you want to be like, I like gross things. This is gross. This is gross. I'm sorry. Here's my gross art about this gross topic. I have a little more respect for you than you know, just people being like, I hate you for not loving my ship. Like, it's a gross ship. But yeah, cosplaying as kids, or like an alternate universe where you have a cute cartoon of young Rey and young Kylo Ren in an alternate world where they're both training to be Jedi, and you know, he's got this dark, angsty teenage soul and she's the one who convinces him to be a good guy. Okay, sure, it's a cute little story, write it. You know, but don't expect don't expect
oh yeah, you want to change everything about it? All right, go do it.
Do it. Exactly. You want to create a world where they have a healthy relationship together and they're in love. Fucking go create it. But understand the difference, have that line regarding reality where you understand that this is your fantasy and has no place in the world. I have had many fantasies, none of which I'm going to share with you guys right now, regarding many male actors in many things that I love. And I don't need to put them all over the internet and tell people they're stupid if they don't agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
I
need to address this because we have talked about Twilight. Okay, so the thing about Twilight, Edward wasn't a mass fucking murderer. Somebody was like, "Oh my god, you girls talked about Twilight," and I'm like, remember, we were like, I feel I was in middle school when those books were coming out. I was a child.
True.
We were very young when those books were coming out, but I had this information, and it was like one of those things that I just wrote off because it was so long ago that I knew this.
Yeah.
And it didn't come back into play until I was being a terrible person that I am and binge watching Henry Cavill interviews, where I realized, oh yeah, he was the one that the chick wanted, the chick that wrote the book, she wanted him to be in the Twilight movie. And I was like, if he would have been in it, I would still be rocking like a Twilight shirt to this day because it would have been Henry Cavill. So
God, man, he would have been a sexy Edward. If they had actually made Edward sexy, yeah, I'd probably
Henry Cavill could have pulled it off.
Oh, absolutely. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, God, he would have been hot. If they had done that, if they had picked Henry Cavill or someone else really sexy for Edward, I think I might have gotten on board. Even if it wasn't a great movie, I might still be like, okay, I kind of love Edward.
Edward never killed anyone. That's the thing. Edward never killed anyone.
Edward didn't. Edward was turned by
the dad. But Edward had never killed anyone, or else his eyes would have been red.
After the dad had already, created his vegetarian family, yeah, Edward came into it. He never had there was a couple of them, like Jasper was the big one who used to like kill people.
Jasper had killed people.
One of the Rosalie.
What are their names?
It was Rosalie. It was Emmett's girlfriend. Rosalie.
I hated her.
Whatever. She was a bitch, but she had killed people, I think, before. And
but I don't think it was I think it was like because she fought them.
I think she fought them. I don't think she
became a vampire.
Jasper was like full on vamp.
Or something.
Crazy bastard vamp.
We know way too much about this. Poseidon MGTO, thank you for the super chat. Once again, they are Sith and Jedi. They are supposed to fight, not kiss. What the fuck is wrong with this picture? I agree. Now, the only time I think if you would need to kiss, if it's kissing and making up because homeboy fell to the dark. Okay, so like if it's Luke and like Vader like I don't know kissed his son on the head because that's a thing that some fathers do. Newsflash: some men are good fathers. Holy fuck, that just ruined a lot of people's agendas.
No. Well, Anna, if they're people of color and they're very oppressed, or maybe they're two gay dads, they could be good fathers. But if they're just white men, no, they're not good people. How could they be a good father? They're evil and terrible. We should get rid of them.
How fucking dare they? Yeah, but I agree. They're well, no, remember they're not Sith because Sith is not a good word for them to use. So they're not called Sith. They're called dark side users. Don't you remember? Because I remember in my review of The Last Jedi, I called Snoke and Kylo Sith, and I got this novel of a comment saying they aren't Sith.
They're Sith the way Luke is a Jedi. Like, okay, maybe they didn't go through the normal, Sith training that Sith go through when the Sith had more power and stuff like that, and had a more organized structure. But guess what? Yeah, Luke ran around Dagobah for a little bit and then went through his, trials out in the world and decided. Because Yoda, like, oh, you're training. Okay, I'm a Jedi. Like, he's basically, and he didn't even, Yoda at no point is even like, you're a Jedi now. He doesn't say your training is complete, he's dying and stuff, but, he comes back, I've learned so much and all this stuff. It's like, Luke just kind of decides he's a Jedi. Like before he comes back to Dagobah, like in Return to the Jedi, he's already like, I'm a Jedi Knight. Before he's gone to, technically complete his training and all that stuff, he fucking decided. He was like, I'm a Jedi Knight now. Like, so if you want to make that argument, technically, Luke didn't go through the regular training protocols and wasn't certified by the Jedi Order, so he's not really a Jedi either. Fuck you.
Well, there's different types of training, too. And I mean, Yoda even said, Yoda's a Jedi Master. If anyone can say you're a Jedi or you're not, it would be Yoda.
Yeah.
Let me read this real fast. The Leviathan, thank you for these super chat. Hail, Anna, Hobbit of Endor, Empress, Portuguese, Queen of the Ewoks, Tamer of Harvey, I
Cthulhu.
don't know what that word is.
Cthulhu.
Huh?
Cthulhu.
Oh,
That's how you spell Cthulhu.
okay, Cthulhu. I never read any of the Lovecraftian books. I don't see why the Cthulhu is a big deal, but apparently a lot of people are into it. I don't get it. Slayer of the SJWs and the future ruleress of Earth, your Ewok praise their queen, Yevnev. Well, thank you. Sorry about my little random Cthulhu rant thing. Yeah, okay, was what's his face? Was Davy Jones based on a Cthulhu creature?
No. Cthulhu is more giant horror monster. Like it can take. I've heard of
Well,
it.
like the tentacle-y thingies.
Forms. What?
The tentacle-y thingies.
Yeah, kind of. The whole tentacle face, I guess, could have been pulled from that. I always thought of him more. I guess maybe he was. Now that I'm looking at like more pictures of Cthulhu, yeah, his face is kind of a Cthulhu inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different versions of Cthulhu. You can just scroll through, do a quick image search, which is what I'm doing right now, because I'm more used to seeing some of the ones. Trying to find the ones that I'm more used to seeing. Some of the more shadowy ones, like there's one that's like a flying squid. I'm like, okay. But ones with like the wings and that are a little more like you see a defined features on their face, like creepy eyes and stuff. But a lot of because they're gigantic, so a lot of their body is sort of shrouded or hard to even comprehend. I always thought of Cthulhu as like this almost difficult to comprehend in his like mass and darkness and evil and stuff. But
I have a hair in my eye. So that happens when you have animals. Let me read this.
I had cat hairs in my face mask today when I went to the supermarket.
Oh no. Ben do you know how to say the last name?
Ben Kavarabias.
Okay, so Ben, thank you for the super chat. Ben Solo had to die. If he survived, he'd be tried for his crimes and similarly executed. He would have died one of the horrendous monsters of the galaxy. Redemption's sacrifice is the only way to escape a villain's fate. Well, yeah, same thing with Vader. Like, do you think everyone had been, oh, Vader, you came back from the dark side? Oh, yay, let's all sing Yum Nub and Kumbaya. No, he'd been a freaking prisoner.
Because that's the whole thing, too, with Vader, even with his legacy, where it's like, you know, Luke knew he came back. Luke's people who knew Luke or were directly involved knew that he had turned at the end and was a huge reason why they defeated the Emperor. But like the majority of people in the world who had nothing to do in the galaxy, who had nothing to do with the rebellion and all that stuff, are always and forever going to think of Darth Vader as this evil monster who did things. And probably some of the direct people who even knew that he redeemed himself at the end aren't necessarily going to forgive him for like, oh, like, that's great that you redeemed yourself. You also participated in the genocide of an entire planet, and a lot of my friends died there, so fuck you, I'm glad you're dead. You know?
Well, not even that. Like the oppressive empire that's been around since, the same amount of time that Luke and Leia have been there.
But if you look at story, there's a great point about the ultimate sacrifice. That's a trope that's existed for a long time for a reason. That in order to be fully redeemed, you need to demonstrate your utter selflessness by making the ultimate sacrifice in the name of good. And you also will see sometimes they make that ultimate sacrifice and then they're revived and they get to live. But typically, that's not when they're. It's not. Those aren't. That's like in the movie Constantine, which people don't necessarily like, but I love.
Oh yeah, Constantine.
Where he makes the ultimate sacrifice at the end, but he's brought back. But Constantine is not inherently a bad guy. He's done bad things, but he's the whole trope of he's doing good, but not for the wrong reasons and stuff like that. He's able to live and be redeemed. He still has to make the ultimate sacrifice. And this is someone who's not pure evil, who hasn't committed the same atrocities and whatnot, who gets to, erase his previous wrongdoings by coming back. Your baddies who've done unforgivable crimes that they would be jailed or executed for, yeah, they gotta go. That's just, you can die a hero, but you have to die. That's it. Those are your choices. You can live a villain, die a villain, or die a hero. You can't live a hero. You don't get that choice. You fuck that up for yourself.
I mean, there are very few circumstances on when that could work. And I mean, I feel like the only way to live in that situation, I'm trying to think of examples, is if you, because it's like Voldemort. There's no coming back from being fucking Lord Voldemort. Like, you're going to go sit in Azkaban for the rest of your fucking life. Unless it's something where the hero, the actual hero, like somebody like Luke or Harry Potter, where they have the villain that has been redeemed fake the death and then they like you have to go and you can never come back.
Sure, you live in exile. Or
Yeah,
another example from Harry Potter, though, and even he ended up dying for his sins, etc. Was Snape. Snape was he's the one where if he had lived, if he had making that sacrifice and somehow pulled through at the end, was like, okay, he's going to clear his name. He's the one where it's like, oh, you made that, you demonstrated your worthiness and cleared your clouded history. But again, not a bad guy from the throughout. I'm trying to think of any film that has that bad of a baddie who's that redeemed in the end.
And we're talking like, and we're not like, don't, chat is probably going to come up with a lot. Not just any villains. We're talking about like Lord Voldemort's Darth Vader type, like Emperor Palpatine's level of evil.
Living embodiment of evil, has committed mass genocide, atrocities, war crimes, etc.
Let me read a couple of these while everyone figures it out. John Powers, thank you for the super chat. Bow, respect, ladies. I wish nothing but a good life for both of you. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. That really means a lot. Beth, thank you for the super chat. If my celebrity crush knew what was in my head, ... he'd be scared. ... Very, very scared.
Mine too.
I don't even know what I would do. Like, I do know exactly what I would do if I would see Henry Cavill. I just feel like, Hoarder Alliance, motherfucker. Nobody ever asks you. I need to know. It drives you crazy. By the way, you're beautiful.
Were we supposed to get him on the stream this week? What happened to that?
He didn't respond. No, I didn't see anyone bugging him on his Instagram. But then I think he did a couple of political posts, so I think it might have gotten lost in the reaction of people yelling at him for his white privilege.
Keep in mind, guys, Henry Cavill for the matriarchy.
He won't do it. But Miss Kiriyama, thank you for the super chat. Sup, beautiful ladies. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. And she's got a little picture of a puppy in her profile picture. So cute. So cute. Thank you. Have you seen any names popped up for a villain, a villain that's been redeemed? Because I'm still
looking. Doomnatron's for the Horde, by the way. But no one so far has given us. That's even 60 back as even Vader wasn't completely redeemed, and didn't quite turn to a good guy, and that's fair. So far, no one's Hans Gruber.
Darkest Night Zek, thank you for the super chat. Return of the Jedi, Yoda's hut scene. Yoda says, no more training do you need. Luke replies, so I am a Jedi. And Yoda said, then not yet. Vader, you must confront Vader. Then, only then, a Jedi will you be. Mm-hmm. And Luke does. And guess what? He becomes a Jedi after this.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah. But before that, he was calling himself a Jedi. He was calling himself a Jedi Knight before that. And no one freaks out going like, Luke wasn't really a Jedi Knight. Yeah. People get over it and understand that he's a fucking Jedi. Someone brought up for villain. Someone brought up Hans Gruber. Is he a redeemable villain? Is Hans Gruber somebody who could have been redeemed?
Hell no. He's just a crook at the end of the day. A fantastic villain. Would you want to reform Hans Gruber? Hell no. Nobody wants a good guy, Hans Gruber. I'm sorry, Die Hard's one of the best.
Jeff has feelings clearly about Hans Gruber.
I almost cried when he died, but I don't give a shit about Harry Potter. Hans Gruber.
What I'm saying, do you think there's a universe where like is he a bad enough guy? Has he done bad enough things that if he couldn't have redeemed himself?
He couldn't have redeemed himself. He shot Takagi in the face, point blank range, allowed for the hostages. He's planning to kill them all. Because remember, he had the detonated on the roof. He was going to murder 30 people to steal $600 million.
Just to steal money.
He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
sorry about that.
Well, because that goes into our point, which is these ultimate baddies can't be redeemed and live.
There's nothing that guy could have done.
No, to avoid real crime.
Jeff was such a big Die Hard fan.
He's a huge, massive. It's both of our favorite Christmas movies. Someone else actually, this is an interesting one too. Someone else mentioned Oscar Schindler as a villainous villain. Who, and I mean, in terms of real life villains, a Nazi sympathizer is pretty extreme. Granted, he was always, if you look at, the movie portrayal and the reality is Oscar Schindler was a businessman who was trying to profit and didn't care about human life at first. So someone who was complicit in the death of so many people. Was he that bad of a baddie? First of all, did he fall into, does he fit our definition of a truly evil person from the get-go, a truly embodiment of evil from the get-go? and was he properly and just then correctly redeemed by the end of the film, his life? Because you can also, with Oscar Schindler, you can talk The Real Man, and you can talk the movie depiction, which was pretty spot on. But yeah, what do you think of that? Have you seen Schindler's List?
I have not, because I know what it's about and I don't want to watch it.
It's a really, really good, powerful movie that I always recommend people eventually at some point watch. But it's like, you gotta be.
I was gonna watch it on the plane ride over to from America to England, because I knew when we got to Germany that we were gonna go to a concentration camp.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't want to watch. Like, I was like, I can watch this movie, or I can watch one of the ones on the plane. And I'm like, one's on the plane. I'm not gonna cry.
It's a phenomenally made film, but it's definitely one you got to be like, you're willing to sit down and put the time commitment in. Like, you're not too happy because it'll fucking ruin your mood, but you're also not like too miserable that you're going to kill yourself after you watch it, you know?
Exactly.
Right? I'm ready to digest something serious, have a good cry, and etc. and watch an excellent film. Someone else brought up.
I say this. Oh wait, well, yeah. Wasn't Steven Spielberg didn't even he had to stop in the middle of filming because it was getting too emotional for him?
I think he was very emotionally invested in that picture, which is an interesting example too, because a lot of times you see when filmmakers are too directly emotionally invested in their content, they fuck it up because they're too precious about things, or they're too whatever about things. I think it's a testament to Spielberg as a filmmaker that he chose a really difficult subject material that hit very close to home, and was able to put together such a masterpiece. But another one, before we totally move on subject-wise, someone also brought up Tyler Durden from Fight Club as a redeemed villain at the end.
He's not even a real character. He's a victim of somebody's imagination. That movie sucks.
Well, what?
I hate that movie.
I don't know, we can be friends. I know, of course we can. I like to highlight the beautiful thing.
In my defense, I figured it out very early into the movie. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the cinematography. If I don't like the way a movie looks, it drives me fucking crazy. And the whole time I'm like, I don't like to clean. I know very few humans that actually like to clean, but I'm like, I want to clean and I'm just like, I don't even care about the movie because it's driving me crazy how disgusting everything and everyone is.
That's one of the things I love about that movie and that house, the Paper Street Soap Company house and all that stuff. I have met people who live like that, or if you watch also things
it's even when they go to the store and everything about it. I hate that movie. I think it's so stupid. I know. I love
it, though. It's fine though. I get it. I watched it the right time in my life. Whatchamacallit? It really hit me in the right way. I love so much about that movie. But it's an interesting question. It does break an interesting question, because technically Edward Norton's character is also Tyler Durden. So he had the split personality. His other version of himself that he didn't even know existed for a long time did a lot of really bad shit. And is he redeemed at the end of that film when he resolves those two things, when he defeats his demons effectively, and nobody, there aren't mass casualties. He doesn't have mass casualties in his wake, because that's another thing too. It's another thing too, is you could even look at the Brad Pitt Tyler Durden as an anti-hero and not really a villain, because he's not out to kill people. He's has his own radical ways of doing it, but he's out for the betterment of society. He's interested in bettering people. So I don't think he really, and not for the greater good kind of, justification for evil, but he's really into that deep human, fix yourself as people, And so I personally would argue that Tyler Durden doesn't cut it based on he is not embodiment of evil and villainy enough to make our list.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't say that. He was more his goal was to get his other side of his personality out of its shell, and he's let me do things that in his own twisted way make people happy.
Exactly.
Bless you. Let me read these 2 super chats, and then we're going to talk about our next subject. John Powers, thank you for the super chat. Alita Battle Angel sequel. Any thoughts? I am all for it. I would love it.
From the moment that movie ended, I was like, need to see what happens next.
Yes.
I could have stood it. I wouldn't even be mad if when they do, because it was X years later is how the movie ends and whatnot. I'm not even mad if in the sequel they spend a chunk of time in the beginning, you know, showing us like even the first, you know, act even in that time period. Because I would love to see. That's going to be where some of the most interesting things happen with her character of really hardening, of you know fighting the man to become this like. Even 15 minutes in the beginning montage of just her, you know, playing I can't remember what that awesome game is called anymore, the race thing.
The Powerball or something.
Powerball, whatever it is. I love it though. And yeah, so I'm on board. I'm ready.
Yeah. I have to bring this up on a different thing. Here we go. We'll just, or not there. Because the link I had for this article, because we are going to be talking about something getting removed. Let's see. Zero Duality, thank you for the super chat. Found one Lost Ray Toaster. Owner Anna. No, fuck that. I don't need it. I don't want it. I don't need it. Thank you for the super chat. Leviathan, thank you for the super chat. Mr. Robot is Fight Club with hackers. I fucking hate Mr. Robot, and let me explain to you why. Because people lose their mind when I say this. Okay. When I moved to San Francisco for college, it was still San Francisco. Then something happened, which was this big boom in like the tech stuff. So I got to live in San Francisco for like a year and a half before all of that shit. I think even a little bit longer before all that shit took over and the sky, everything, just the prices were already expensive, but it skyrocketed because all these tech companies that make a shit ton of money took over San Francisco, and then all of the businesses started closing because it's all tech. Now, I was dating a guy at the time. Thinking back, I'm like, when I look at all my exes, I'm like, just why? What the fuck was I like smoking? But he was an engineer for like the tech company, and it was like they were all like, not to be like derogatory, because there's a difference between like a nerd like us and like these techie computer nerds, specifically in San Francisco. And it was like it was Mr. Robot. They're like, this is the best show ever. It's like our Superman. So it became like a symbol in San Francisco, like that Mr. Robot it's all about how tech people can save the world, and everyone in San Francisco is like, fuck all you tech people, you're ruining San Francisco, and look how San Francisco is. So I hate that show. I think it's terrible. Also, again, totally obvious from the beginning that character was not real. Not good storytelling at all. And also,
that was one that had Rami Malek in it, right?
Yeah, I didn't like him.
My mom
loved him in Night of the Museum. He was fantastic in Night of the Museum. In that show, I mean, maybe he's good at being like a weirdo.
Who was he in Night of the Museum? I don't remember. I didn't really know who he was.
He's Kentucky.
Okay, cool. That was a silly fun movie. Wasn't that like Robin Williams' last movie or something? It was such a fun, like, I know people would talk about that, like, oh, that's his last film with Night of the Museum. I'm like, that was a great last film for him because it was cute, it was fun, it was charming, he was fun in it, you know, it was a great, yeah, his legacy is bigger and more encompassing and more serious than that, but you know what? It was a fun movie that brought joy to a lot of people, and his character made them smile, and I think that was such a great legacy for Robin Williams. He was a person who made us smile, you know, so... There you go.
It just makes me sad. Michael Fedor Show, thank you for the super chat. Just stuffing the tip jar for channel support. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. That is always nice.
That's really sweet.
All right. So I have this pulled up. We're going to talk about Gone with the Wind. So apparently Gone with the Wind is too racist. And apparently they forgot, because I remember seeing all of that, and I remember thinking to this to myself. I was like, wasn't that like one of the things, like one of the times, like a black woman won like an Oscar? And then of course I saw it on Twitter the next morning, which was today. So yeah, they removed. So I don't have the whole article because I don't subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. HBO Max pulls Gone with the Wind while Cops gets canceled. Gone with the Wind was pulled from HBO Max while long-time running TV show Cops was outright canceled. Assigned entertainment companies are re-examining the content they offer in the wake of a nationwide protest for radical justice against police brutality. So while I go hunt down the actual article that I can read, Jessi, do you want to talk a little bit about how you feel?
The worst thing that they're doing with this now, like canceling the Cops, I think you're doing more harm than good when you cancel a show like that. I was actually really encouraged, and I don't know what will happen now in light of the protests, but just before all the protests really burst out, The Rookie, which is a show I really enjoyed, was renewed for a third season on ABC, which I think is a great show and a show we need more of because I think it is a great job. It's not like Blue Bloods, which is one. There's shows like Blue Bloods that are really, and I've never seen Cops, so I can't speak to that one. That really, build up the police and sort of glorify police work and being a cop in a way that I think is very unrealistic. And I enjoy The Rookie because I think it humanizes them in a big way. It has a lot. It shows a lot in the show of like the hostility that a lot of regular people have against policemen. It shows the trials that the policemen have, in overcoming the prejudice against the police on the streets and trying to be good people and doing, and showing sometimes when they do the wrong thing or they are corrupt. But also a really nice thing that just shows you like the good that they can do or do. And I think it's a really nice balanced show it's not overly yay police. And that's something like Jeff and I we both have a similar stance. We're like, we're not super yay police in general in our regular lives. We have some trepidations, we had some negative run-ins and whatnot, but we're still in favor of having a police force, first of all. And second of all, we both love the show. We think there's great characters. It's naturally, and this is a great thing too. I don't know why more people are talking about this. If they cancel The Rookie over this, it is less going to be a victory for social justice and more a blow for diversity. Because this show, and without even realizing, because it just makes sense. They're LAPD cops. They're, it's the Wilshire office. So it's in the middle of the city. And you have, so as you would in the middle of very diverse Los Angeles, one of your cops is a black woman, one is a black man, one is a white guy. Like your main character is still a white guy, the very likable Nathan Fillion. But like the chief of police is black. And like I think the police commissioner in this is the chief of police is black, and then like their CO, their officer that's in charge of their, I can't remember what his official title is. The sergeant that's in charge of their headquarters is black, and one other character is part Asian. And these are things that there's another white guy. Oh my God, there's a few white guys, straight white males in it. And they're cool. And it's a really interesting show because they pair up the, cute little half Asian chick who's still, the tough cookie with the hard ass, most, typically masculine, what you think of as the hardline police cop. And it's great because you get to see how she tempers some of his more hardline perspectives of criminals and police work, and how he teaches her how she needs to be tough about certain things, and like toughens her up and gets her ready and whatnot. J-Pat, The Rookie's better than Castle. So it's a great movie, great TV show that has a naturally diverse cast. So in terms of that, this canceling, people are getting reactionary about things that don't need it. And in regards to Gone with the Wind, when we segue into the article, that one of the things I hate so much regarding canceling something like Gone with the Wind, getting rid of books that have the N-word in them, you can't cancel history. You can't erase history. If you do, there is no progress and there's no relativity. Because sure, if you cancel all of history, if you erase and wipe out it, never speak of again our racist history in this country, then all you have to go on is today, where some stupid imagined microaggression, which is not even a real thing, is the pinnacle of racism. You need that perspective. You need to go back and look at a movie like Gone with the Wind and then compare it against society today, so you understand, so you can be grateful that of the changes that have happened. Go back and look at the depictions of women, of people of color, of queer, culture and whatnot in movies and how that's changed. These are the things that allow us to measure progress, to understand when and how progress happens, and to be grateful for what we have today, because that's missing. There is no gratitude in the world today. Nobody takes a second to wake up. No person, people, you have the people going out and protesting or waking up every day going, we're so oppressed, reparations for slavery. Which is, by the way, you don't get it both ways. You want to erase history, fucking stop talking about slavery because it was a bajillion years ago and we pretend it doesn't exist anymore. If you're going to fucking pretend Gone with the Wind doesn't exist because it's too racist, then I'm sorry, we're going to pretend slavery never happened because that's way too racist. So screw you. You don't get it both fucking ways. There's a complete absence of gratitude. Rather than waking up and taking a second to say, you know what, we have a long way to go with reforming society and the way we treat people, etc. That's fine. You want to go out and protest that and justice, all that's great. All that's wonderful. But maybe take 5 fucking seconds to wake up and go, at least I'm not a slave anymore. At least I can drink out of the same water fountains as anybody else. at least I can be the person I want to be. Christ, I can wake up and say, look, I'm sitting here on a stream wearing a tank top. There was a period in our history where I would probably be stoned to death for doing this, you know, a lot in front of people for coming out. It'd be considered scandalous. I'd be shunned from society for wearing a tank top. So I can sit here and instead of bitching about how hot it is and how miserable it is and how terrible it is, I can sit here and say, look, isn't it great that I live in a world and a country where I can sit in front of a camera, I can wear a tank top, I can show you guys my tits and go, look at me, I'm an attractive, sexy woman, and you can look at my arms. And you
Okay, I love you, Jessi, but you're going a little crazy.
My point is like it's be grateful for what we have. Yes. Understand that history exists for us to measure against, you know, and wake up saying, look, I don't live in Saudi Arabia where I can't wear a tank top when it's, you know, 95 degrees outside. I'm grateful for that. I live in a country, you know, hair. Exactly, where I can wear my hair this way without being I could be mad. I could say, oh, society doesn't accept women because I could still get stereotyped as a boy or looking like a guy or being gay because of my haircut. Or I can say, I live in a world where I can just go to any salon I want to, walk and get a haircut, not have to ask my husband for permission, or worry that because I wear my hair the way I want to, I'll never find love because I have to obsessively make myself up to be attractive to men. I can be grateful. I can have both of those things too. I can balance that against saying, yeah, I wish we lived in a world where people didn't go, you look like a dude because I have short hair. That would be nice. I would love that. But I can also be grateful that I live in a world where I can look the way I want to and you know, be allowed under the law and under the eyes of most people to do and say what I please.
Yep. Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Jitty, one thing for the super chat. Hi, Anna and Jessi. You two ladies made this day hotter. Well, thank you.
Well, that timed up perfectly with my you know.
I think I had another one before I start reading this. Mr. Another, thank you for the super chat. Here, a pitch, Social Justice Jessi and her Hobbit sidekick are PC cops making YouTube more woke. Oh, God, fuck that. I ain't got the time and energy to do that like Jessi does. Plus, I can't act. I cannot act to save my life, so I would be terrible at that. But what was I about to say? Oh, yeah, so about this, here's my biggest thing. Okay, so when you look at some of the darkest times and the worst times in our history, a lot of it has to do with the fact that people, you know, this is a really big thing, is if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. And so being aware of history, not censoring history because somebody's too sensitive, it's like, well, grow the fuck up. Life is hard. Life is not fair. Life is not easy. So if you're sensitive over something that happened, not to you, to, you know, maybe someone that was related to you, but happened, you know, hundreds of years ago, even thousands of years ago, because this has been going on since the beginning of time, or, you know, something like slavery has been going on since the beginning of time. And it's terrible. Yes, I'm glad that, you know, we live in a country that does not exist anymore, but it does exist still in some countries, which is unfortunate. And, you know, I think the best thing that we can do is educate people. And I know for whatever reason, some people find history class boring. I found it completely fascinating and interesting, but you need to learn history or else you're doomed to repeat it. Censoring movies because you find them, you know, threatening to your well-being, then don't watch them. I already talked about on the stream how I know what Schindler's List is about. I know what's in that movie. I haven't watched that movie because I know what it's about and I don't want to watch that. I don't want to sit there crying for 2.5 hours because I'm watching people get brutally murdered. You know, I don't want to see that. I've seen plenty of Holocaust movies and none of them were easy to watch. But that doesn't mean I'm not aware of it. I mean, I've been to a fucking concentration camp because I want to see that part of history. So that way, if anything ever like that is ever going to happen again, I don't care if I'm 80 years old, I will stand and stop that kind of stuff. And so censoring Gone with the Wind, and I have this article pulled up, so let me pull this up on here. So I'm not going to read the whole thing because, again, I do not like to get into politics, but long considered controversial for its depiction of Black people and its positive views of slavery. Okay, here's the thing with that. Me watching it did not sit there thinking, oh, wow, that stuff is good. No, you know what happened because you know what happens in the Civil War.
Of course.
It's from the point of view of people from the South, the people that, you know, were making a profit off of that. you know, Scarlett, she doesn't, I mean, it's been a long time since I watched the movie, but to my knowledge, she doesn't I don't see her beat anyone in that, you know. We're aware of what slavery is, and we see them, you know, we see what happens from the war, and we see how it changes her as a person, what she has to work for herself, you know, she has to do everything. So you have to think about that. It'd be like watching a movie from the point of view of like a Nazi, which there are movies like that. There are plenty of movies where it's from their point of view. And, you know, those ones are always like the movie Valkyrie with Tom Cruise, where he's a Nazi, but he's trying to, you know, defeat Hitler and ultimately fails. But I mean, when you're watching it from that point of view, from the point of view of the so-and-so villain, it's going to have a different take on it. It's like when you watch the Joker, and it's like, yes, we know the Joker is doing bad things, or that Arthur is going to do bad things, but you're watching the movie from his perspective, so what do you expect?
There was that one, it was a great movie. What was it called? Maybe it was Downfall, or there's been a couple different movies that are from Hitler's perspective. One of them that shows like his last days, that might be Down. I'm trying to remember which one I've seen, because it's Hitler the Last 10 Days. I don't know. I don't think I saw that one. I think I saw Downfall. It's from his perspective. Or should we cancel that movie? It's a fascinating movie that's with tons of insight over that. Are we supposed to cancel that film? Are we getting rid of that just because it's, you know, it's glorified because it glorifies Hitler because we see it from his perspective? No.
If anything, it doesn't glorify. It gives the perspective of that psychopath.
It gives a different perspective. Exactly. Those people, just because we don't like them, or we can all as a society agree what they did was morally reprehensible and morally evil and wrong, that doesn't mean they weren't human beings who didn't have a perspective. And it may have been the unabashedly wrong perspective. We're pretty much all on that. Yes, and NGC, it was Downfall that I saw because it's a German film, Der Untergang in German. Yes, that's the one I saw. And it's an excellently made movie. But that's like, I derailed my train of thought now on that.
It's okay. Dark Knight Zach, thank you for the super chat. Jessi, ever considered decaf? LOL.
I'm like this caffeiner now.
She is. It's just when you get the bout of passion, it just comes. Let me see. I think I got one more, and then we can continue reading. Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega Judy, one thing for the super chat. Hattie McDaniel, the first African American to win an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, won it for Gone with the Wind. So much for woke HBO. Exactly. I think that's what I mentioned when I first talked about this. Yeah, it's like you just. I mean, here's the thing. Everyone that was cast in that movie said they got paid. They show up and they did their job, and they told that story because they wanted to. So I mean, if anything, it's like for people to cancel Gone with the Wind, one of the highest grossing movies of all time, when you make the calculations due to inflation, you do realize that they wanted to tell that story, that they got, she got an Oscar for telling that story and playing that part, because again, you need to learn from history. Also, the former slave owner, Scarlett, if you don't think that she got what was coming to her with karma, like the death of her child, her husband finally leaving her finding out that the guy that she'd been pining for the entire fucking movie never really loved her, it's like, she got her dues.
I mean, exactly. And then there's also, like, first of all, you can't cancel this film without canceling Hattie McDaniel's accomplishment as the first, Academy Award winning African American. So, like, I think that's a much bigger deal than, it shows slavery in a positive light. Like, first of all, dumb, no, wrong, as we just discussed why that's wrong. But the first African American to win an Academy Award is a much bigger deal than, it's a movie about slavery. And also, if you look at it too, like, yes, she gets what's coming to her. She deserves that. And that's part of the story. It's like, yeah, she was, she profited from a system that trafficked in human life, and so she undergoes a terrible hardship as a result. But then also part of it is there's her redemption story ish, and then there's the undercurrent, which was in some ways progressive for the time. There's the undercurrent of her learning how to be an independent, strong woman, and I'm like, that was very progressive for the time. So you're erasing the progress. What the character of Scarlett O'Hara means as a nuanced, flawed, imperfect character, woman who suffered, you know, and who paid for her sins. Because again, that's of course, it's not a story that plays nowadays because women are always perfect and virtuous. So showing a woman who's a bad person is totally misogynistic now too. Rather than let's look at this really nuanced, interesting, flawed character who has weaknesses, who has strengths, who is annoying as shit. But I'm not going to discount, just because I don't really like the character, I'm not going to discount, you know, her arc and how empowering it was as a story of a woman, you know, going through all this crap. So, but you're canceling that too. You're erasing the strides, you know, that film made for depictions of female characters. So you can't throw out the you can't pick and choose, you know, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's what they're doing.
Let's see. It's a film that glorifies antebellum South. Oh, are they going to start canceling Shirley Temple movies now too? Because I believe that there was some. I haven't seen all of her movies since I was a kid, but I think I remember like she is like a little Southern belle in one of them, and she's dancing with what's his name? He's like a famous tap dancer. I'm not going to remember this. This was from.
I'm a huge Shirley Temple person.
The chat might know. Oh yeah, Django. Well, see that one. I don't. Does that one does definitely not, because they're using the excuse that it glorifies slaves, and what I think that they mean is that the slave owners in the movie didn't want to, like Scarlett, she didn't want to lose her slaves because, you know, they put her in her dresses and she had a beautiful house, and then after the Civil War the house is destroyed and she's got to rebuild it and she's got a farm and all of that. So it was showing that it was better back then, which, I mean, when you have a bunch of people doing free labor for you, for the people that are getting all the free work done, I'm sure that they liked that better than having to do it themselves. But that's part of the point, is that you have to learn that is, you know, doing that to people that, you know, are not your employees, that, you know, you have slave labor, that is fucking bad.
And that's the whole lesson. The whole idea of that lesson is exactly that. You know, it may not be the easy, it's the hard thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. You know, doing the right thing isn't always easy. To this point, though, too, and what you're saying with Shirley Temple, all that, Gettysburg was a 1993 movie based on a phenomenal book, The Killer Angels, which I think I saw the movie at one point, but I definitely read the book. I know I did see the movie. I love that book. It is written, it's historical fiction. It uses real, actual people who were there, but it's, you know, fictionalized things. And the way the book is styled, and they pull dialogue directly, really do a good job in the movie. You know, each chapters are written from the perspective of different people, both Confederates and Union soldiers. And it is, it was such a beautiful, humanizing story to really understand, you know, what these people were and what they were fighting for. And like, if you look ahead in this art, not to skip ahead too much, you know, but when with this quote from where he continues, or she, I don't know the writer is a man or woman, you know, go up just a little tiny bit. It's a film that is part of the narrative of the lost cause, romanticizes the Confederacy in the way that continues to give legitimacy to the notion that the secessionist movement was something more or better, more noble than what it was, a bloody insurrection to maintain the right to own, sell, and buy human beings. I'm not going to disagree with that statement, that's what the Civil War was about. That's what the secessionist movement was about, was to maintain the right to have slavery, as we talked about this thing last week too. We're on the same page there. But that doesn't mean, this is the problem we have as a society, you know, that doesn't mean that every single person in the South, every single person who fought in the Civil War were somehow evil Nazi, you know, well, pre-Nazi, obviously, evil racist, slave-owning, you know, bigots who hate the world, you know, and that's, I think Killer Angels is such a great example of that, where you're in Gettysburg, where you're talking about, these are, you know, soldiers who went to West Point, some cases together, who happen to live in different parts of the country, who are part of the army. So when the army mobilizes, we're fighting for this. Unless you have the means to hop on a train, go to the north and say, this is what I want to fight for, you're fighting for the Confederacy. Brothers against literally brothers against brothers in Gettysburg. And it's so interesting to read something like The Killer Angels, or to watch Gettysburg and see those two perspectives, and see how at the end of the day, it's an ideological struggle. And there are people driving these ideologies who have different moral compasses, but a lot of the people in it and a lot of the casualties are just people. They're not bad people. They're not bigoted people. They're not racist people. They're people who happen to just be on one side of a line, and also in some cases were brought up a certain way. The same person, they're not inherently bad or racist. They're brought up in a certain circumstance. If they had been brought up in the North, maybe they'd feel differently. So it's
and I mean that's one of the things where it's like I'll use this example when people are trying to argue with me about certain things, but I'm just like, okay, imagine you were born on an island and you had no, like, this concept of slavery, this concept of A, B, C, and D never existed to you, because all that mattered to you was surviving on this island that you live on. You know how to farm, you take care of yourself, your family, your animals, and you know how to survive, and you're on an island. So I'm assuming there's a beach, so you enjoy your time. And you're living a fine, dandy life, and then somebody introduces this concept to you. It's like, well, this person, what if this person was born there? They'd have a very completely different view of the world if they were born in place A or place B.
Let me take your analogy a step further. You live on this happy little island, you farm your food, you do all this stuff, etc., whatever, and then one day you wake up, you've never known this before your entire life, and somebody suddenly tells you, hey, by the way, you know how, someone comes and takes some of your produce and some of your crops and stuff like that? Yeah, well, actually, you're farming to help support an evil overlord who's trying to kill people and take over the world. Cool. You had no idea, that this was happening. You had no idea the greater implications of the bigger world or whatnot. Because I remember thinking, this is also different. People don't realize, like, if you lived in the South and you grew up there and all that, you don't have the internet. You can't just log on to Facebook and go, oh, I wonder what my cousins up in the North are up to. Oh shit, slavery's bad. Huh, what a concept. This is, fucking Pony Express era, in terms of, like, that's your speed of communication. You don't have this rapid, the news is everywhere. It's national, it's global. You have multiple perspectives in every side. And I know what's going on in some podunk town in Washington State and as well as Maine and Florida all at the same time. That was not the world, So you have these you cannot look at the past through the lens of the present. You just can't.
No. General Scar, thank you for the super chat. Burn the heretic, kill the mutant, purge the unclean, in the name of the emperor, let none survive. Is that from a comic book?
I don't know what that's from. It sounds like it's from something, but
when I saw mutant, I thought X-Men. Yeah. Maybe it's just like a wrap of all of the because heretic, I feel like that's Assassin's Creed. Mutant, I feel like that's
heretic could also be Halo 2. Thank you very much.
I never played Halo because it's a first-person shooter.
There was a track on the Halo 2 soundtrack that was Heretic Hero, and it's a great soundtrack. It's a great movie or game. I say movie, it should be a freaking movie. It's a great game. I have the soundtracks from the first 3. They're phenomenal.
Well, I don't know anything about Halo except it ripped off Ringworld, the novel. But yeah, so I just thought that was a compilation of all of the whatchamacallit.
Of all the
stuff.
Yes.
Ron W, thank you for super chat. Wonder if Amazon will cancel North and South miniseries now due to same type of movie but in miniseries. When I saw North and, or maybe I'm thinking of the completely opposite one, but there is a miniseries called North and South. It has nothing to do with America or the American Civil War. It has to do with England and the what is it called? The industrial boom. Why am I blanking? Industrial Revolution and living up in the countryside and a chick falling in love with the dude that played the dwarf king in The Hobbit. That's a mini series of North and South that I watched. I thought it was about the Civil War until I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is not what I was expecting, but it's good.
The one thing that's definitely not going to get made now, though, in the culture, which is already, I think people were already talking about it being too edgy before it even happened. Remember Benioff and Weiss wanted to do that whole project where they were like, what if the South won? They're definitely not going to get to do that now. Not that they're going to do anything ever again.
Oh, I just got this. I was like, what the hell are they talking about? Or what does this super chat mean? Anna and Jessi are glad a woman lost her child and husband. No, that's cool. Just
yeah, good. You did good.
No, it was karma coming around because she was such a bitch her entire life. Michael Fender Show, thank you for the super chat. Jessi, why do you think more wasn't made for Ezra Miller's alleged violence against a female?
2 theories, 2 possibilities.
Oh, I think he paid them off. I think his publicist and all of them paid him off.
Well, I'm gonna say two possibilities, and it could be, you know, one or the other. Either, you know, he paid them off, his publicist, or even the studio, because they wanted to protect his image. Like, God, we can't have another Amber Heard scandal. Geez. So either these people were paid off to hush hush, you know, and whatnot, or it was all, and this is another possibility too, on the flip side, if this was something that was staged or set up by these purposely trying to bait him into it, and they found this out, it was like really obvious later, you know, that might be one reason why it went hush hush real quick. So it could be either way. It could be, you know, he got set up to look like an asshole, or it could be he is a total asshole and you know, he is covering it up. I don't know why. That certainly, watching that video, rubbed me the wrong way. It's also not one of those, like, I don't know if you need to cancel him over it. He was drunk and he did something really stupid. You know, should he lose his current role? Maybe. Like, I could see that argument. That was pretty fucked up, you know, what he did. And I could say, if you want to be like, okay, we're not gonna keep him as the Flash because of it. Fine.
Hey, they could always just kill him and have Wally come in, because Wally was the one that was in the Justice League, not Barry Allen.
Yeah, true. There you go. So that's definitely a possibility. And that's like, I'm fine with, like, you did something stupid like that and you lost your current job, but I don't think it's like cancel worthy. Cancel him forever, you know, because I guess we just don't know enough about it to be like, oh, I saw this one little video, cancel him forever. I don't like
people are insane sometimes with the whole cancel culture. Mr. Another, thank you for super chat. Jessi, there wasn't any of those types of German in Civil War back then.
I know, you heard me correct myself as soon as I said it, made a joke about it. I know, Mr. Another. Also, I'm sorry, I forgot to read your super chat. He sent me a super chat that came in right after I ended my broadcast on Monday, and I was supposed to read at the beginning. I was going to read it at the beginning of my stream on Tuesday, but I forgot. So tonight, Mr. Another, first thing when I go live after I say hello is I'm pulling up that super chat and I'm reading it.
Oh, that felt good. I don't know if you heard that. I just popped my whole neck.
Yeah.
So oh my God, the stupid hair net. What was it? Gone with the Wind. I think it's stupid. It's a classic movie. The fact that they're gonna pull this off. I like how it's not a problem until they want to virtue signal. Like, oh, before you really had a problem with this, why weren't you making changes, or why would you even have it on your platform before? But now all of a sudden it's not okay. And I feel like there's a lot of movies that aren't high profile movies like this that they probably still have up that are just much worse, or that like depict things like not in a, you know, that something that was written on a book, not something that had the first woman, the African-American woman, to win an Oscar. Like, you go probably look at some B-level movies that are just done terribly, that probably are, you know, extremely racist, and they still have those type of things up. So I don't really understand the whole idea of let's censor history and movies. It's like, if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch Saw movies because I don't want to watch that shit. I'm not for people getting mutilated. I don't watch a lot of movies because it's not something that will make me comfortable to watch. So if you don't want to watch this kind of stuff, don't watch it.
Exactly. The only thing I'll say in defense of HBO's decision on this one is because of the way our society is, people idiotically look at something like, oh, well, you have this movie on your subscription service, therefore you endorse all of the things in the movie, which is idiotic. And people need to stop being stupid all the way. And HBO needs to have the nuts, you know, HBO Max, you know, Time Warner, all that. They need to have the fucking balls to come out and just say, this is an important movie for film history. You know, this is an important movie because of the African Americans, you know, who won the Academy Award because of Hattie McDaniel's accomplishment. We do not, you know, us, you know, putting this movie on a streaming service does not mean we endorse the depictions of, you know, black people, slaves, the antebellum South, whatever it is. Put it out there. Throw it as a disclaimer whenever you click the movie on your service, that a screen pops up and says, you know, Time Warner and AT&T and Time Warner don't support these perspectives or depictions, or necessarily. They
all have that. They all have it before the movie starts, and it says this is the rating of the movie. This is what's in the movie. It's a warning at the beginning, and I feel like on every single movie it says these are acts. This is fiction, and then if it's a documentary, it says this is a documentary. If you're not if there's some sensitive material in it, if you don't want to see it, don't watch it. You
and
know,
most things too will have the disclaimer. Like even documentaries always have the disclaimers. These are the opinions of this person. They don't necessarily reflect the stance of this company. You know, this is this movie and whatnot. This doesn't necessarily reflect, you know, our stance on these issues. And that's already in films all over the place. These little disclaimers, you know, cover your ass legally and all that shit. And that's great. And that's all you need. And people can fucking get over it. People need to get over this. And people also really need to stop vilifying and dehumanizing anybody, every single person who doesn't agree with them.
Yep.
We're all humans. We all live in this country together. And that's the idiotic thing, which is why it's so stupid when you keep moving the goalposts. This country is for every person in it, not just some. And that's the thing. It's like, that was the original rallying cry for civil rights. This is a country for all people, not just white people. It's a country for brown people and black people and any color, any race, any ethnicity. It's a country for everybody. And that is still true, but that's not how people see it anymore. That's not how the progressive movement views it anymore. They view it as this is a country for people of color and minorities and people who are oppressed, and fuck you, whitey, get out. That's not how fucking
it's not how the world works.
We're not going away. You're not going to put all the men and white people on a boat and send them out to sea when this is all over. We need to create a country and a civilization that we can all live in happily together, and constantly fighting with each other and dehumanizing each other and treating each other like the devil because they said one thing we didn't agree with is not helping. And it doesn't matter who you are.
Well, it's not even that. It's like the way that they act. It's like, you do realize that, you know, there might in 100 people there might be one asshole that is racist. Out of 100 people in a room, there might be one. Does that person come out and show it? I mean, maybe because like what if the way that they make it seem, it's like, so you're saying like a majority of the people are probably psychopaths and racists that would, you know, act on these kind of things. It's actually pretty rare to find people like that. And when they do, they stick out like a sore fucking thumb. And there are people that are just genuinely assholes.
Exactly.
And, you know, I feel like everyone has to deal with genuine assholes every now and again. But I feel like when I wake up in the morning, I don't see people the way that they depict them hundreds of years ago. You know, I wake up and I'm like, who do I want to talk to today? Do I want to talk to this person? Do I want to talk to this person? I don't think about them as what ethnicity or what color their skin is. I think about them as, this is my friend Jessi, and then this is my friend Sav. I don't think, oh yeah, Jessi's Jewish. Oh yeah, Sav is Mexican. No, I'm like, I'm going to text Jessi because we got a stream today. Oh, I'm going to text Sav because we wanted to do something later on.
I don't wake up going, I'm going to hang out with Lindsay because she's my black friend. And it would be good for the country and for morality. If I spend more time.
It's just ignorance.
Exactly. It's like, it's and with the all the things. And, you know, to what I'm saying, it's like, in some way, it's almost, you know, and we don't not political. I don't care about the politics side of thing nearly as much as I care about the rhetoric that people are using and the way people are choosing to come together or not. And it's almost like a poetic justice in a way. The way even though I don't agree with painting all the peaceful protesters as rioters and looters and whatnot, I'm like, you taste your own goddamn medicine, because you're the same people who, because you see one MAGA person with a Confederate flag or one Trump supporter, you know, saying something you don't agree with, all Trump supporters are bigoted, racist, you know, Confederate flag flying KKK members. Okay, well, great. So one person in your group threw a brick at a police officer, so you're all violent Antifa assholes. Like, it's a taste of your own fucking medicine, you know? And people need to realize that if we keep doing this back and forth, we're not going to solve anything. And so even though I think it's poetic justice that people are like, oh, you know, all the protesters are evil rioters because, you know, some violence and whatnot, I also think at the same time, you need to look at what did you say something? Oh, no, I heard a noise over there. I was like, what was that?
And this is too political to me, so I'm not going to talk about any of it. But Jessi can continue her point.
I don't need to chew into it. But the bottom line is, like, and this is my biggest thing. You know, I was talking about this too, and my big stance is like, I wish you could be as open-minded as you expect me to be when you tell me about your beliefs. That's what I want from people. You know, if you want to, and examining hypocrisy. I talked about this on my own stream last night. Little things I do in my daily life that I'm trying to do, you know, like when I'm driving, if I do something and I realize, and like someone yells at me or honks at me for doing it, if I realize, and it's hard because you get that visceral knee jerk, I want to yell back and I want to flip you off and do all this stuff. But when I look at it, I'm like, if I was the other driver and a driver did this to me, what would I do? I'd honk, I'd scream, I'd yell obscenities. So if I'm going to yell and scream and honk and shout and yell obscenities, whether I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing, I'm not helping. So that's something that, like, in my daily life, I'm trying to examine my own hypocrisy and say, and calm myself down. If I want to have a moment where my brain goes, fuck you, you fucking fuck, but I'm going to still sit in my head and go and take a second to go, you were in the wrong, Jessi. You know, you didn't pay enough attention when you were backing up because your windshield was scummy and you almost hit that guy. Cool. You didn't hit him. Great. A+. He honked and he wanted to yell and shout while he drove by. Okay, fine. Get over it, Jessi. You fucked up. You know, you almost hit somebody and they were, you know, upset about it. Awesome. If someone did that to me, I'd be equally as upset. I would drive past and swear and flip them off too. Cool. That's what I do. So I'm not going to get butthurt and I'm not going to get upset. And I'm not going to hold it against someone else when they're doing the exact same thing that I would do in that situation. And that goes to the case with this too. If you're a person who gets butthurt when somebody lumps you in with all of this type of person because of one opinion that you may happen to share, or not even, because you happen to be in the same place at the same time, or you happen to both vote for the same person, or you happen to both believe in you know, one certain thing, you happen to be pro-police, you happen to be anti-police, whatever stance you have. This, if you've ever been frustrated being lumped in with a group of people and being and having your actions generalized because and stereotypes because of, you know, one type of person happen to be in the same group, don't do that to other people. And if you want to run around saying, you know, everybody on the left is a psycho this, everyone on the right is a psycho this, then don't be surprised and don't fucking cry about it when they do it to you. Because you cannot, other people in the same breath sitting there going, we're peaceful protesters, there are no looters. You can't stereotype all of the same people who last month were saying everybody protesting the you know, government shutdown, the quarantine restrictions is a you know, human hating, MAGA supporting jerk. Okay, great. And then again, all the people who are protesting then saying, I'm sick of being called, you know, a racist or a this or a that or a Trump supporter or whatever just because I don't believe in government mandated you know, quarantine protocols. Great. Then don't sit here now and say all protesters, because there's looters and people, you know, among the protesters, all these protesters are not peaceful and are terrible. You can't have it both ways. Stop with the hypocrisy. You don't get to do, and that's the problem. Everyone's like, well, I'm morally right, so I can do whatever I want and vilify everyone else. No, everyone is a human being. Everyone has a perspective. Everyone thinks they're as right as you do. So if you want people to listen to you, if you want people to be open-minded, if you want people to take the time to consider your perspective, you have to be willing to do the same. You can't just sit there on your soapbox and rant and rant and rant about social justice and protesting and why we have to do this. And then, you know, when I try to say something about, well, maybe this is a little too extreme, you fucking shoot me down. It's like, oh, I'm sick of trying to change your mind. I'm sick of having to fight with you too, because obviously I'm right and you're wrong. No. Listen, this is not a conversation in which I'm exposing to you how ignorant and stupid and narrow-minded I am, and you're teaching me how to be woke. No, we're having a conversation in which my opinion and my perspective is just as valid as you.
Well, that's the problem, is people don't want to listen. They think that they are right and they are unwilling to compromise. And so the second you start talking, they're like, no, you're wrong. Let me explain to you why you're wrong and you're brainwashed and I'm not. I was having this conversation, like, this has nothing to do with politics, but a lot of the time when you're talking like to people about specifically their art, and I mean, I've done it too, where it's like, no, I did it this way this is my biggest pet peeve, is when I'm drawing something or I'm saying like, this is my idea for a story, and I haven't even started. I'm very like in the very beginning, like maybe 10% of the 100%. And I'm like, let me pitch to you my idea. And then people start changing it. And I'm like, no, you're giving me notes and like critiques or like things in the very beginning when I'm like, the things you're complaining about, I'm about to explain to you. If you wouldn't like just shut up and like let me finish my point. But so that's like, I feel like that's when I find it more frustrating, because I do not talk about politics, not even like outside of my YouTube channel and streams. I just don't find it interesting to talk to people about. And here's the thing. Every single person on this face of the planet is different. No one is going, if you find someone that you agree with 100%, then you probably haven't talked to them for very long. You probably don't know every single thing about them, because there's no one on this planet that is going to agree 100% with another human being.
And that's one of the reasons why friendships are interesting. Why you and I have a great show, I think, because even though we're very similar in a lot of our like social attitudes and whatnot. A big part of our show is pop culture, and you and I disagree vehemently about certain things. We were just talking about how much you hate Fight Club, and it's one of my top 10 favorite movies.
I think that movie needs to get locked in a vault at the bottom of the ocean and just never exist anymore.
Lock me in with it, because I don't want to live in a world without Fight Club. I usually watch it like that's one of the movies that like I'll just put on and have on. That's like Jeff has his movies. Jeff more than a Jeff watches a movie like 1,000. There's not that many movies that I watch over and over and over like that much. Like if I've seen a movie 3 times, I probably really like it. Whereas like there are people like Jeff who've seen some movies upwards of 1,000, well, probably hundreds of times and stuff. Fight Club is one that I have seen. I don't know how many times I've seen it. It is definitely more than 10, and I can quote almost every line from it. So that's
Steps and Cool, thank you for the super chat. You say what I feel, ladies. Well, thank you.
Hopefully I say what you feel about Fight Club, because you know.
The Leviathan, thank you for the super chat. You just described about the U.S. what I experienced in China too, and everything I recognize here in Portugal, which is like what I considered home for so long. Those countries are so much alike. Racists exist everywhere. I don't know what you mean as far as I don't know anything about racism in China. I can't talk about that. I don't know anything about racism in Portugal. I can't talk anything about that because I honestly don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about Chinese. The only thing that I would say is like outsiders, like that. There's that mentality. I've heard the most about Shanghai. That if you go to Shanghai, that if you're not from Shanghai, that they don't like you because you're an outsider. I wouldn't say that that's racist. I would say that that's just like we are in our club and you are not in our club.
The one thing I know about Chinese racism in China is they did have like there's a
I know there's a class system, like the paler your skin is, if you haven't worked.
Yeah, but there's also there's a Caucasian, there's a Chinese population of Caucasian descent that are in the country.
I know about that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of racism against those people because they're seen as like the oppressors, like the French in Vietnam. You know, they're seen as like the colonizers and stuff like that. And actually, my dad had a friend whose son lived in China for so long that his Mandarin accent got really, really good, and people would be racist against him because they thought he was one of those native, people. So I do know about that. I will say that super chat came in when we were talking, just discussing that us versus them mentality and the back and forth and the good and bad and stereotyping. And so I think he was definitely edging it on that sentiment, which I agree with. I'm sure every place is like this, and you see this more and more pervasive attitudes of the us versus them, of the good and the bad, and of lumping and vilifying all of one type of person because of the actions of, 1 or 2 bad seeds.
Yeah. So we are going to talk about, because I feel like we focused on this and got a little bit too political for my taste, but we are going to talk about this, which is Steam. Oh, also the ads on this, I cannot figure out how to get rid of them, but it's all a bunch of like manga girls, so I apologize. This channel is not for children though, but I don't know how to get rid of this shit. This is just on this website. A Steam user loses access to game library after, I don't know what this word is, permabans him for extreme racism. Okay, so again, it says Russian, and I apologize for all of this weirdness. Russian streamer Steam user, going by the handle something, found himself permanently banned from Steam community and from accessing his game library after something dropped about the hammer on him for extreme racist spam. And so it's all of these pictures, which I don't want to click on it because last time I clicked on it, it took me somewhere else because this site is very I don't know anything about this. All I know is that my mods somebody posted this in my Discord, and I was like, all right, well, they must want me to talk about it.
Jeff filled us in a little bit on this.
Yeah, Jeff kind of told us. So I know what Steam is, and because I use it for KOTOR, but the only thing I'll say about this is it's like, maybe don't let him use your platform anymore, but all the games that he did buy, those are his. He paid for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a product. You sold him a product. He bought a product. He owns that product. You don't have to agree with him, but you don't. That's not an excuse for theft. You know, that's literally what that is. It's theft. It's like this. You know, it's like if somebody. It's no different than if somebody walked into his house and took all of his. Say you're racist and picked up all of his video games and walked out the door with them. You know, that's it's just theft. Valve. Somebody saying Valve. That was the word they own. They're the one who owns Steam, so they're the one who booted them off the.
Okay.
The platform, but it's theft. Like if I buy a product from you, I own that product, and if you take it away from me, Doug 209 says they get you in the fine print. There probably is some fine print somewhere about that, but to me that's wrong. To me that's 100% wrong. Space Monkey says prevent him from chat, but he bought those games. Yeah, you can block him from the chat permanently, but he should still be able to play the games.
Yeah, it's like. I was saying this, like, I'm so hesitant to buy stuff online and like to just have a digital thing because I'm like, what if that company goes under? I know it's very unlikely, but I'm like, I want to buy something, but I'm like, I know like I have Prime and I don't like, I like having, you know, just being able to on any device to watch stuff from Prime.
Yeah.
But I'm like, there's this series I've really been wanting to watch, but you can only like rent it or buy it. And I'm like, I'm so tempted to, but of course, the second I buy something, it's going to come out on a streaming service somewhere, or it's going to go on sale. So I'm like, I never buy things on there, but I'm like, what happens if like, even though I like to use Amazon Prime, what if I buy a bunch of movies or a TV show, like the series on Amazon Prime, and then the company goes under, and then all of a sudden I lost my show that I paid for because it's not a physical copy of something. So it's like, when stuff like this happens, again, I don't know what he said, and something in here said something. Something about canceling an account. But, I mean, I don't think we need to talk about what he said, because if he did say something terrible, then I don't want to get my channel in trouble. But I don't know if somebody paid for something already. I feel like that's theirs. But if they did something wrong, banning them from a chat, banning them from ever doing or purchasing anything on the platform ever again, or streaming that thing from the platform, I think that would be a much more reasonable thing as compared to taking away something that somebody has paid for. What do you think?
I think so too. I agree completely. And there people talk about the fine print and the risks of this stuff and the agreements, you know, that you have to do and whatnot. And so they're like legally, you know, they may have a legal basis to say, like, they're probably somewhere in the fine print, like, you don't technically own this. We own this. We allow you to use this, or whatever dumb shit you want to say. But and there's a you know, justification to look at that and say, like, you don't own this, you agreed to do this, so you can't have this stuff anymore. Okay, maybe it's on the up and up, maybe it's legal, maybe it's okay, but it's a really poor business decision on the company's part. And that's I personally would, you know, for me, I'm like, that's you know, you can make those decisions if you want. If you want to say, hey, look at our fine print, we totally have the right to do this. It's completely within our means and grounds to say, get off our platform. I don't care if you don't have access to the games. We don't owe you jack shit. But is that really the way you want to handle yourself as a business? And that's this adversarial, and that's unfortunately, you know, what's happened now is platforms, companies, businesses whose job is to provide a service or a product that we as the consumer buy. Their job is to make money. Their job is not, fuck you. I'm sorry. If you're a big business, if you're making, you know, 6 figures and more, and like, if your business is hauling in millions of dollars a year and shit like that, it's 7 figures, isn't it? Then you don't, you're like, the bullshit of this acting like you're somehow the moral compass for our country or our world or our humanity. No, you're not. You're fucking not. You probably have paid off lobbyists in Washington to get your way on policy and crap like that. You are just as much a part of the problem as anybody else, and you really don't give a crap about race issues. You're just virtue signaling. So to me, it's just disingenuous. And if you as a company want to act like the world police, the moral police of the world and your users, then go for it. But don't be surprised that people are going to, if there's a backlash ultimately, you know, and companies move towards a less involved, less political approach ultimately. It's great that so many people want to actually finally come out and say, hey, you know, we stand with you know, against police brutality, we stand against killing black people. Sure, that's a wonderful sentiment, but it's not enough to make a goddamn post on your website or your Twitter. You know, your actions speak louder than that. And so this you know, don't act like you're this moral superiority, like you're getting some kind of brownie points because you kicked a racist off your platform. Whoa, shut up about it. Get over yourselves. You're a corporate business that profits from people spending money like anyone else. You don't thrive, you don't succeed or die based on how many of your users are racist or not. You succeed or die based on how many people are paying you money to use your platform. End of story. That's some of my thoughts. And that's actually, if you're interested in topics like that, Jeff is putting out a video. I think later this week, Jeff is going to put out a video about exactly that, about the hypocrisy of Disney coming out and, we stand with our black employees and blah, 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 blah. And he's going to detail for you every racist stereotype in the Disney Star Wars films, of which there are many.
Oh,
so
yeah.
if you really care, Disney, don't make a token black character.
And then turn the token black character, instead of making the token black character the lead of your franchise, you make him a janitor. They start off with the potential, take away the love interest from him and Rey and give it to a psychopath, and then you just make him the butt of the joke and you just make him terrible. It's, man.
But all to the point where he doesn't even get to come out and say in Rise of it's like it's this running joke in Rise of Skywalker that he never gets to tell Rey how he feels, but that's a racist trope. Oh, the black guy can't tell the white woman how he feels because he's not allowed to.
Well, no, he doesn't even. It wasn't even about her. It was the fact that he's force sensitive. That's what he wanted to tell her, not about his feelings.
Is that confirmed? I never read that. Is that
yes, that's confirmed. Is that he? Somebody asked J.J. Abrams on Twitter or something, and it's like, was it that he was force sensitive? And it's like, yes, like because that's why it shows later on that he can sense that they're there.
So,
I think I have a clip for this.
Daddy, don't you think you should rephrase that?
But that's like even more so. Like that makes it even more so because then the whole joke in the movie is there's a running joke that he has feelings for the white chick, and it's not even the case. Subvert your expectations. But it's like, dude, no, what would have actually been subversive to media, because media still shies away from interracial couples. If you look at the majority of depictions of couples, whether it's, commercials or movies or whatever, most depictions of couples are that. And the biggest stigma, going back to civil rights and before, the biggest stigma has always been the black man with the white woman. There is people have died. Black men have died for liking white women. I mean, we all know the story of Emmett Till. And to pussy out, like if you're gonna go for any kind of romance in your trilogy at all, to pussy out from putting the black man with the white woman is I'm sorry, that's doing way more harm than the good you're doing by tweeting that we stand with our black employees.
I feel like one of the reasons why the love interest in King of Comedy was a black woman was because that was actually like Robert De Niro's wife in real life. And Robert De Niro, like, I believe he's been married twice or 3 times, but they've all been black women, right?
I don't know about his personal life.
Oh, well, that's like Robert De Niro. Like everyone, I feel like everyone kind of has a type. But like him, like he likes black women because I believe, again, I can't remember if he's been married 3 times or twice, but I know that all of his wives are black, or have been black.
Nice.
And so it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, I honestly think that sometimes when they do the interracial couples, sometimes they just force it, like they did in Star Trek with Uhura and Spock. I'm like, really?
I hate
like that was 100% forced.
I hate that. Their relationship, the Spock Uhura relationship, platonic relationship in the original series was really beautiful. It was nice, and it was, it had like a nurturing quality, and it was nice. It was actually, it's interesting. Interestingly, it's I never realized that they kind of captured that relationship in the Orville between a robot and actually a black character, a black.
Well, the thing is, like Uhura and Spock, like they just had the like the coworker type of relationship. It wasn't like, and even when they were in the common room and he was playing his I'm blanking on the Vulcan name of the instrument, and she's singing, there was never anything romantic.
Yeah, and that's the scene I always do. Yeah, that's the scene I always think of too. That really shows they had a really, it was a nice relationship. It was like, it was the only thing that was more than coworker was you got a sense, and even scenes like that, you know, she was someone that he let a little closer, or like she felt a tenderness to him when a lot of people didn't, because he's a Vulcan with his, you know, logic and this and whatnot. And so she was one of the characters who kind of saw him more, you know, humanized him more. And that was it.
I also think that has to do with the fact that she's a woman too.
True.
Because
You know,
oh my god, newsflash, all to the feminazis. Oh my god, women are like emotional, and we can like we like catch on to feelings, and we're good with our feelings more so than typically we're better at that kind of stuff than men are. Oh my fucking god.
And guess what? It is not sexist to say that on the whole, women are more emotional than men. And that's a good and a bad thing. Does it mean that we cry more often? Sometimes, sure, maybe it does. But does it also mean that we're more intuitive? Sometimes, yeah, absolutely. You know, it's the good and the bad. You can say, oh, well, guys are typically, you know, more emotionally closed off. And again, these are not, it's not like, oh, that's terrible, let's vilify men for these things. Well, okay, sometimes it means that, you know, the guy in a situation is more able to compartmentalize and move through something and deal with something difficult. But the flip is that, you know, he may have a harder time processing and dealing with himself afterwards. There are good and bad to both of these things. And those are the nuances that make us people, not the BS that make us, gender and misogyny and sexism. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can even, the thing about Star Trek though that I feel that people always forget is it's like, it was never about like interracial couples. If anything, it was about interspecies, or I shouldn't even say interspecies couples, but it was about different species. Like, look at Worf. Look at how many different, like, Worf even says, no, I need a Klingon woman. I can't be with a human woman. A human woman wouldn't be able to satisfy a Klingon man. And, I mean, we see him with a Klingon woman, and she's a fucking awesome character, even though she's only in 2 episodes. But then you see him in DS9, where he gets married, and more I feel like closer to human than Klingon, but you know, she does have the symbiote in her, which is Jadzia Dax. And I mean, we see him pursue relationships even when they tried to at the end force that whole Deanna Troi and him together. You can even look at like Spock. His mom is a human and his dad is a Vulcan. They're not even the same species. That was more of the focus on it as compared to going off of somebody's skin color, because you're at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what color your skin is, doesn't matter what part of the world your background is in it, because at the end of the day, you have no skin, you have no like, you're down to your bones, and all of our skeletons look the same. You know?
And that was one thing I thought J.J. Abrams actually handled decently in the first of his movies was it really highlighted, and it really pulled in, and it really made you feel for him in the way that it highlighted, which is like one of the common, I don't even super credit, because it's a pretty common trope, you know, where he's the half-breed child and he's rejected by both communities. The Vulcans reject him because he's too human, and the humans view him as not one of them because he's too Vulcan, which is...
The only thing I didn't like was Zachary Quinto did have too much emotion.
He did. Like, that's something I also really didn't like. I hated that they made the love story between him and Uhura. I hated how exposed the whole plot point of let's crack him because his mother just died and prove that he has feelings. Okay, fine, but overall, like,
oh no, Jessi, am I pixelated for you?
Yeah, you are actually.
How bad?
I can it's bad.
Okay, my computer is overheating. I have a fan on, but I'm just gonna turn off my camera so that way,
yeah, your audio,
I don't have any problems.
What I was gonna say is
I'm also uploading something, so that could also be part of it.
That's
but
probably why. That's probably overheating your computer. But your audio is still coming in perfectly clear. So if you
I just don't want anything to have a problem, so I'm just gonna go off camera for a bit until it gets better. The Leviathan thing is Jadzia plus Dax, the symbiote, is Trill. Yes. Yeah, I know. That's why I said she's not human. She's closer to human than a Klingon would be, and that's one thing. Also, when they talked about in Star Trek, is that especially when they show B'Elanna, is that they even acknowledge, or no, not B'Elanna. Oh my God, what is her name? Fuck, Worf's mate. Oh my God, I love this character. I always forget her name. She's part human. You know, she's not full Klingon, and Beverly even says, "Oh, I didn't know that Klingons and humans were compatible." And then she's like, "They're not. That's why I have a terrible fucking temper, terrible sense of humor."
Love it. But that's something. What was it? That whole Klingon and the strength and the keeping up with. It's another trope, and that's why I obviously know why you haven't watched it.
Taylor, thank you. I always fucking forget her name.
But that's I understand why you're not watching it. But for the rest of you, go watch the Orville, because a lot of these great sensibilities and interesting concepts that were brought up through allegory in Star Trek. Because you can even go back to the original series. How many aliens did Kirk bang? I mean, he was like sticking it anywhere.
See, that's the whole thing, though. When you actually watch it, I feel like it's more of a trope that Kirk gets all the girls, because he only, like, really, if you actually go and, like, see some of it, it's like it's hinted that he might have gotten with some of them, but half the time it's like they're hitting on him or he's hitting on them, and then it gets cut off. He's got the little romance stuff.
Yeah.
I think drunk. You haven't seen this shit yet. We haven't spoiled anything, Drunk, which everyone tonight, me and Drunk are doing our watch party of Star Trek because he's never watched it. So we're going to watch the first episode, and we're going by the production order, not the release date order. So it's going to make more sense to him.
Good.
But yeah, first watch party tonight over on Drunk's channel, and then it will be re-uploaded onto my secondary live channel.
Yeah. With the Kirk, I mean, there's different opinions, because for me, like, I was always under with those flirtations and things, just because TV, they're not showing all the crazy banging and stuff, but I always took it as a lot of those flirtations and suggestions were like, that's
what I thought too. But then I saw some. Oh, cool! It's done uploading. For the thing that's making my computer overheat, aside from the heat, is that I did a painting video, and so I've been working on getting that all uploaded, but so it takes for fucking ever because I have to film everything on my damn phone, edit it on my phone, then upload it to YouTube, and then compile all the videos together on my computer. Pain in the ass, but it just fucking finished uploading. So maybe soon you guys will see that. But anyways, back to what we were talking about, because we totally went off on a Star Trek tangent, which I love. I fucking love Star Trek. But what were we talking about? I lost my train of thought.
I think we pretty much mostly wrapped it because we'd started with the Steam article and then we ended up in Star Trek because of
we evolved into Star Trek, which is the best way to evolve to. So you want to talk about Batman? The new Batman that doesn't work out.
Fat Pat.
Here's the thing. Batfleck was Batman because he looked fat as hell in the Batman suit, even with the bat symbol was fucking fat. It was like Super Size Me Batman. Everyone's like, no, he was yoked. I'm like, he didn't look yoked.
I thought he looked buff as all hell, and I liked him.
He looked fat. He had a double chin. But we're going to talk about Bat. So they did I don't think that this is the best model, but they decided to promote it. So it's a hot rod, which, I mean, I like cars. I'm a hot rod type person. So I'm like, it's got 2 engines, no storage. I'm more so worried about the windows. I sincerely hope that they're bulletproof.
I would hope so too.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem like a lot of windows for. That's one of the things with the Batmobile is, it seems like a lot of windows for someone so private, but
exactly. And I'm just. I get it. You need to be able to see. I would have them blacked out, like completely tinted out. I don't know why they don't. Maybe it's because it's like a toy or it's like a model, but this is like Mad Max Batman, like Batman if it was Mad Max.
Right. If Batman lived in that world, this is what he'd drive.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
He needs to have his windows. If you're gonna have them completely blacked out, bulletproof. If you're gonna be in this kind of car, it needs to have the safety railings that go over, so that way when it turns over, this looks like a very heavy car. That way you're.
I'm sorry about that. My computer.
How fucking dare you? Are you muted? She's muted. Jessi, you're muted. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll just keep talking. So, yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't make it shut up. I didn't know how to make it shut up. That's why I muted while it was going. I silenced it on my phone, and as soon as I did, my computer's like, oh, you don't want to hear your ringer go off? Well, here, how about this? Fuck you.
Okay, so the fact that these are thicker tires, even if they're, these are going to get shot. Like, that's one thing with all the other I feel like they need to have some kind of protection around them.
Giant exposed tire, more exposed than on a regular car. Put a bullet in it, done. End of Batmobile. Like,
yeah, then he's not going again. If this car flips, he's gonna die.
He's fucked. Where's your rollover capacity at all? I didn't even like Nolan's Batmobile when it looked like too much like a Lamborghini. I did, however, like when the new Lamborghinis came out and looked more like the Batmobile, but different story. I don't like it when they make the Batmobile look more like a car. It's the Batmobile for a reason. It is not just.
I mean, I'm fine if it's kind of like a Transformer type of thing that it'll change. Like, he pushes a button and it automatically morphs into something else. Like, I'm like, yeah, that could be better. The thing about the Christopher Nolan Batmobile, while I didn't like it, like the look of it very much, I was like, this is way too. Like when architects make like experimental looking buildings, and I'm like, how the fuck would you build that? That's what I thought. Yeah. Like,
impractical modern art.
Yeah, it looked very impractical, but I don't know. I'm partial to the animated series when it comes to Batmobiles and stuff like that. But I mean, if you're going for the style of the movie, it's because what do they say? It's going to be film noir.
Yeah.
I mean, film noir. Shit happens. I don't know. I don't feel like if this is Bruce Wayne that he would design something that would be this inefficient. You know?
Yeah, I don't think so. It does look. It looks much more like. Oh
no! It says private site. You put it. This person put it. Is this Matt Reeves? They put it right here.
That's weird.
They took it down.
It's stupid. I don't.
Why would you post this and then not share it, you fucker?
But that, by the way, is one of the reasons I love the Batman Forever Batmobile. People are like, the fin is stupid and this and that. Yeah, but it's a very cartoony car, and I like that because it doesn't look practical as a vehicle to drive on streets. It looks like Batman's car that is practical for him. You know, it's cool, and it's got its own, you know, like the utility. Well, it was ridiculous. That's what I thought was totally ridiculous about Batman Forever is that scene where he's fleeing. He's getting away from when Two-Face is trying to corner him on the streets, and he uses a grappling hook on the car to drive up the wall. The fuck does he go after he gets to the roof? Like,
I know.
That's probably my biggest complaint about that. I love that movie. I love everything about that movie. That's my one unanswered question on Batman Forever. Where the fuck does the car go when he gets to the top? That's all.
Maybe there's a bat jet or a bat helicopter waiting, and it's got a magnet that will attach to the roof and will fly him to the Batcave.
Or maybe he just a tunnel that shoots it. Because don't forget, he has a tunnel that goes from Wayne Enterprises in his office all of the way to Wayne Manor, to the Batcave at Wayne Manor in Batman Forever. So that's if he can build a tunnel for that, he can probably put tunnels on every roof for his car. So that just seems logical. Or it sprouts wings and flies off, you know. The bat plane turns into the bat sub, so why can't the bat car also turn into the bat, you know, short distance glider?
Yep. But not the biggest fan of this. I need to see it in the movie. This is just like a concept of it from what I gather from this info.
Yeah, it looks just like digital concept art.
Yeah.
But and again, like maybe it does transform in big ways. Maybe it's maybe it's a gadgety mobile where shit pops out and it can do also. But then at that point, it's like, well, if you made like a cool looking sporty car and the only Batman-y thing about it is that it's black and has all these gadgets, and you just made a James Bond car. It's just not an Aston Martin, you know, like. Batman's car is not the cool, you know, road running gadget mobile. It's the fucking cool Batman-y looking piece of branding merchandise that he uses to get from A to B and has nifty defense mechanisms on it. Because the whole thing with the Batmobile, typically, like when you see the way it's designed to shield itself, like Keaton's Batmobile when he pops out and locks it down, or the one we're talking about driving up the wall. The Batmobile is supposed to be designed as a defensive. A moving fortress, you know, and it has these extra tools and gadgets on it to protect Batman while he is going from A to B to fight crime. It is not supposed to be an urban assault vehicle, which is, I think they went that way, you know, too much in Nolan's Batman. I don't even remember too much of the Batmobile from Batfleck, but all of Batman versus Superman just made it into, you know, he was all urban assault was kind of his shtick in that one.
Well, the thing is, if it's a utility vehicle, that's going to be designed very different than like your just classic car. One of the things that I think that they might have gone with when doing this was that a lot of times nowadays people will tell you they design things based on if they can market it and if people can emulate it with either cosplayers or people that can, you know, actually make the car. Like, I know one of the things that they changed the design and they did the different version of the car for Ghostbusters 2016, because guess what? It's easier for people to get that model and that make and to do that paint job as compared to the original one. This, I can, someone with a lot of money that's a car enthusiast can make this at their house, you know?
Sure. Well, that's even like I said, I think that was definitely on purpose. Lambo, their big body redesign, that happened some years after Nolan's Bat. Like one of their biggest recent shifts in their body design, which I only noticed because I happen to live in a city where a lot of people drive Lambos. They shifted them more to look more like the Batmobile from Nolan's Batman, which I thought, like, in the real world was neat. Like, even though I don't like that car, having a Lambo that looks more like that is kind of neat. I could see Dodge putting out like a limited edition Charger or Challenger that looks like this, you know, because it has that sort of body shape and whatnot. And the Mustang has a lot of that, has some similar shapes to it too, but I don't think maybe they would. I don't know. Mustang
this is more, I feel like this has more, I was going through when I first watched this right now, just because I see them all the time. This reminds me of like a Dodge Charger, but my mom does, for those of you that are not from California, the town that I grew up in is the town that George Lucas is from. And so every summer they have an American Graffiti Car Festival, which got canceled this year due to the beer flu and now the protests too. But every single year I see, you know, old classic hot rods like this. So I could probably go through some of my video footage and find the exact car that they based this on. But it's a Charger base. Oh, see, hey, I called it.
That's what I thought it was too. It looked like, I would say, is it Charger or is it Challenger? Because Challenger's the 2-door model. So I'm going to say it's Challenger. I learned the difference when I got to drive a Dodge Challenger all weekend long. So I would say it's more.
Oh, well, aren't you cool? You got to drive one. I haven't.
It was the coolest thing ever. I went to Seattle and I rented like the basic economy car. I think I spent like $60 to have it for 4 days. And I get to the lot and this woman's like, "We're doing a promotion today. For the same price you paid, you can drive off the lot in a Challenger or a Camaro." And I was like, I picked the Challenger. I'm happy about it actually because I drove it for my friend's Camaro a year or two later. And I actually like the way the Challenger drives better. It was so, I called it my vroom vroom mobile. I even put videos on my channel about it because I was so excited, and now I want one. It's fun. It's a fun, you know, muscle car that goes vroom vroom. It's a pleasure to drive. Someone said it's a Challenger with a Charger front end. That makes sense because it's got the 2-door like a Challenger does, but the Charger has it's a little bit bulkier and has a bigger nose, I think. So again, the aesthetic, I love Challenger. I think they're great and they're fun. They're super fun to drive, but it's not a Batmobile. It's not what it is. So,
I think our consensus is that we don't like it, right? Like not fans. I have to see it in the movie for the context, because if it's Bruce Wayne and he's just like, you know what, fuck it, I want to be Batman tonight and I'm not going to wait for better stuff, and he just does this and then he goes out, gets wrecked, and then comes home and is like, all right, yeah, I need something better. That will make sense narrative telling. Like that, I'll be like, all right, dude, he just had to do with like what he had and he went out and tried, and maybe he had more focus on his suit and he was just like, let me make my Bat car in my spare time. Also, let me make it not look like only a billionaire would own something like this. That would make sense story-wise.
If this is the car that Bruce Wayne just drives and there's a button he pushes and it transforms into the Batmobile that looks like a Batmobile, then I'd be down for it. then I'm down for
I
it.
don't even have the bat symbol from what I can see.
No, I just see any. That's what I'm saying. There's no Batman branding on it anywhere. That's at least, you know, the fins, like you say what you want about the stupid fin in the Batman Forever car, but it's got that edge, you know, the fins in the all the lining on it, you know, has that edge like the, you know, like his gauntlets or his, you know, all that, like that finny edge. This is throwing stars. I can't words. I broke. But it has, you know, definitive style that is resonant of Batman. This looks like a matte Challenger Charger hybrid, you know, with stupids and no Batmaniness.
Yep. Mr. Another, thank you for the super chat. That car seems really toxic. JSW Jessi.
Ooh, that'd be a fun one. It's a toxic. This to me, because honestly, this to me looks like the car that some guy with a small dick would drive around who wanted to be Batman. You know, those ones that just like they fucking take off they stick a spoiler on it, take off the muffler, and they're fucking vrooming on your street at 2 a.m. Like I deal with all the goddamn time here. Like that seems like that car. Someone souped up their Challenger because they want to be Batman and drive around the neighborhood at all hours of the night making noise like an asshole.
And I feel like it has to be narrative based to have it designed like this, especially since there is no bat symbol on there. Maybe it's because they don't want to release the final imagery of it, which it has to be done right now if they were already filming it. But maybe that's part of his thing, is that this is like the first version of the Batmobile, and he continues to evolve his car, his gadgets, his suit, until he finds his thing. And then maybe that'll be the thing at the end of the movie, is that he finalizes the Batmobile design and it gets the bat symbol on it. And so when he drives off and everyone knows, oh, that's Batman, it's a Batmobile. Because they're really marketing this, and I get it, it's a Batmobile, it's part of Batman. But I feel like usually whenever I've seen a Batman movie, they don't put this much, as much focus on this. Like I feel like when Batfleck was coming out, the mobile was not the focus. They're really focusing on this. So I'm like, this got to be part of the story.
I wonder if they're really pushing this now because of all the negative press from the shit he said. If you know, since he came out and with the no exercise crap, if they're like pushing the car now, because like, ooh, pay attention to this cool thing. Look at this cool thing. Forget about our asshole Batman who doesn't want to exercise. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to this. That's kind of what it feels like almost, you know. And maybe that's why we have these like early concept looking sketches that it doesn't really look like a finished, you know, piece that you'd see in a Batman movie. Maybe that's why they're pushing these out now, even though it's not like totally finalized, you know, because like, just ignore the fact that Robert Pattinson's an idiot and just pay attention to this shiny car, have it. Go buy it. Go buy the car and go vroom vroom in your house and be happy and forget about Fat Pat.
I mean, yeah, I'm on the fence. Like this has got to be a narrative base, because right now, when I look at it, I'm just like, I can already see a million things on how the Joker or Two-Face or any of your villains could just demobilize the Batmobile.
Question: you know? Why are the headlights pointed up?
In here?
Yeah, those are the headlights, right?
No. So this is probably a weird angle. So the headlights aren't. This is the reflection. The headlight, as you can see right here, the headlights are back. So this is the light from where the light should be, because the way that this is going around. Like
oh, so they're just
lights are back here, and then they're coming out like this.
So it actually looks like they're shining the lights. It's shining the light directly into the front fender. And not, you know, still highly impractical, slightly less impractical.
No, it's coming out. It's just this is not a good angle for you, because it's like this, but in the front. So it does go out straight in front of it, just at this angle, because it is kind of fisheye. This is a reflection. This isn't the light. The light's back here.
I'm still skeptical of this design, but that's, you know.
I'm just like, the Joker with the bazooka, you're dead.
You're fucking your engine is just sitting here exposed. You got these giant double wide air filled tires. Someone even pointed out, just use airless tires. You know, just make a design with airless tires. These are double wide tires. There's extra rubber to shoot out. It's like, God.
Oh my God! Next thing you know, it'll be a hybrid made of 100% vegan material. So avoid. Oh my God!
Kill me now.
Oh my God! No, don't
do that. Speaking of, I don't know if you've heard this call now to cancel the Punisher because it supports like vigilantism or something.
So then cancel every superhero. Every single superhero is basically a vigilante.
Exactly. Unless you're let's cancel Captain Marvel, because you know what? Not only is she a vigilante, but she started out as an extraterrestrial terrorist. So let's never forgive her for that. Let's never forgive her for once associating with the Kree, because they killed people on Earth, and it doesn't matter if it was, good causes. They've hurt humans, and they can never be forgiven for that. And she's an international, she's an intergalactic terrorist, and we should cancel her. We should cancel Batman. We should cancel Batwoman, because all of them they're all vigilantes. And Batman is even a white. Batman is even worse because he is a white man who is a vigilante. So he's obviously evil. Superman, a vigilante. Cancel all of them.
Doug209 says it's gonna be a Tesla. No, don't you know what's going on with Tesla right now? They are like, Tesla's in a war, or Elon Musk is in a war with the state of California. He's like, deuces, I'm fucking out, because they denied him. Like, he applied for SpaceX for like some small business loan, but then they're like, nope, you said shit about California on Twitter. And so he's like, fine, I'm moving out of California. Bye, deuces. So yeah. And then he posted something about the Matrix, and people lost their mind of like, I want to return my Tesla. Whee! So yeah, Tesla, they don't like him anymore.
We're canceling Elon Musk because he said bad things about Crazy. If we canceled everybody who talks shit about California, if
you cancel anyone for that's what it is nowadays. If you have an opinion that somebody doesn't like, they're going to cancel you. And guess what? Even if they were your biggest fan and they were like, Elon Musk should be president, that's what they were saying. And then all of a sudden now they're like, fuck Elon Musk, I hate you. I'm like, wow, that was loyal.
To be fair, no matter what you think about Elon Musk, he deserves to be canceled and never taken seriously again after what he named his child. But aside from what
did he name his kid?
Wait, you didn't know about this? Oh my god, how did you know about this? It's his. So
I know he had a kid with a rapper chick.
With Grimes, she's like Grimes is like, I guess she's a rapper. She does like electronic music and stuff too.
He's got a weird guy though. He's got 7 kids and they're all boys, which no problem with that. I'm just like, damn, that guy would have been like worshipped back in medieval times with all the sons he has.
Okay, you have to. Okay, I can't.
What did he name his kid?
You have to. I can't tell you. You have to share. I'm going to share my screen real quick, just so you, because I literally can't, because I don't actually know how it. You'll see. This is what I can't believe you. Oh my god, this was terrible.
The kid or the wife or the
This just it's in the title. That's the name. The beginning of the thing is his name. You can share. I shared it with you. If you want to put it up there so people can see it. That.
Somebody put that word together. I don't know what that. Oh, what is that?
That's the child's name. This X diphthong AE A-12 is their child's name.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. I'm not kidding. That's his name.
That kid is going to hate them. How do you even say that?
Okay. Here we go. All right. People were left scratching their heads when Elon Musk revealed the name of the baby boy he and musician Grimes welcomed earlier this week. Well, now the businessman is explaining just how to say it. Musk told the Joe Rogan Experience podcast Thursday the name is pronounced X-A-12.
X-A-12.
They named their child X-A-12, and it looks like that.
Guys, in about 18 years, I should just say 15 years, we are going to see the rebellion of a fucking century from this child.
God, yeah. Who is only ever going to go by the name Ash because he's not an idiot. Probably. But
he's that's evil.
But that's once I saw that, I was like, first of all, I had no idea that I saw something because it made the news once, something about Grimes pregnant. She posted this Instagram picture about babies, and I was like, cool. I had no idea that she was even dating Elon Musk. But yeah, it turns out they had a baby together, and it has this stupid ass name. And as soon as they announced that name, I was like, Elon Musk deserves all the ridicule he ever receives ever again.
That poor kid. I got pissed because I'm like, I don't like my name. I think my name is the most generic name ever. But what the fuck? At least people know how to spell my name. Well, you would think people would know how to spell my name.
Reed Mason says just call this kid Ash and give him a chainsaw.
Oh my god!
Let him go get the evil dead. I thought initially, my first thought was Pokemon. Let him catch them all.
I know.
He can either go kill the Evil Dead or he can catch all the Pokemon. That's his choices. Those are his.
The Leviathan, thank you for the super chat. We just had a live stream about the Punisher article before our beloved Ewok Queen started her stream. Yebneb. Well, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know whose channel that was on, but thank you for letting us know.
And if you're interested in more discussion on that topic, I'm pretty sure it's going to come up on Jeff's doing his stream focusing on the removal of tonight. So if you didn't get enough of us talking Gone with the Wind, Jeff's stream is going to be talking a lot about that starting in just 2.5 hours on World Class Bullshitters, and he's going to discuss the Punisher and all that stuff too. So.
Mr. Another, thank you for the super chat. Especially cancel Henry Cavill's Superman, his mustache too. Okay, that was terrible CGI, but they didn't have enough time. No, Henry Cavill they just need to recast. This was I was thinking because I was like, I could never be in a movie because I can't act to save my life. But there is a character, Jessi. I don't know if you know about this character, but she's a great character. Her name is Maxima. And she's basically this ruler of this warlike planet. And she's a Superman villain or villainess. And she does eventually become part of the Justice League. But her whole shtick when she first shows up is she's like, I need to find the perfect mate to spawn seed with. And she comes to Earth to kidnap Superman to mate with him and have perfect babies. To spawn the perfect offspring. And I'm like, get rid of Lois Lane. I wouldn't even have to act to be Maxima. I'd be like, Henry Cavill.
Yes, you. I'm surprised you read that super chat out loud. I mean, we know Mr. Another is our resident benevolent troll, but I'm surprised you even read anything that suggested canceling.
So I could go on to this whole tangent, which was me just talking about if I was a character and Henry Cavill in this universe was Superman. That's the character. Well, she didn't even get him, so that kind of sucks. But I wouldn't even have to act to be in a movie chasing Henry Cavill around trying to get him to sleep with me. That would be a reality at that point. She is huge and Anna is small. That's what CGI is for. Do you think the Hulk is really what Mark Ruffalo is really that big? No. Do you think Robert Downey Jr. is eye to eye with any of the other dudes in that movie? No.
Or Tom Cruise, who has to stand on boxes to even be close to the height of the women he plays opposite. Tom Cruise is like almost your size.
Have you seen him in real life?
I've never seen him in real life. I've seen firsthand. I know how tall he is and whatnot, but I've never actually personally seen him or met him.
Because it says online that he's 5'7". I'm like, that's taller than me.
Oh, that's my size, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's
still
for men.
I'm short.
Okay. So Tom Cruise to men is like Anna to women. So
okay,
there you go.
When people ask me, they're like, "How short are you?" I'm like, "Tom Cruise is tall to me," and they're like, "Oh, you're short."
That's true. Jeff, I think just Jeff is so much taller than all of us. He's like, are you a lot taller than Anna? And I'm like, yes, I'm significant. I'm like a regular sized person.
Well, I can't put anything into perspective because I've always been me. So like when I see you hold something that I'm holding, it looks giant. I'm just like, this is tiny.
Also, don't forget Anna has bigger hands than I do in spite of being short.
I do.
That's true.
Do I have bigger feet than you?
What size shoe do you
wear? Depending on the brand, between 7.5 to 9.5.
Ooh, wow, that's a big range.
I know. Well, my feet are 2 different sizes.
I'm about a half size difference on mine, and I usually wear 8.5 to 9, depending on the shoe. Yeah.
Anna's lying. She is 6'3". Prove me wrong. I mean, I got a picture of me standing next to Jessi. I'm not tall.
And I ain't 6'7", so.
Well, I mean, you could watch the Driving Miss Anna streams where everyone was like, "Holy fuck, Anna looks like a child."
She does. They're probably commenting on those videos, being like, "She should be in a car seat."
I kind of was when it was me, you, and Jeremy in Chicago.
Your double buckle. I remember your double buckle. You're like, I'm not taking any chances with this lunatic. Oh my God.
I have a picture of me in high school where I did that. My friend was driving and I was in the back seat, and I always sit in the middle and I double cross him.
I gotta say, it's fair. That's reasonable. I will say, Jeremy's driving is not as bad as you make it out to be, but it's also not as good as he thinks it is.
It's terrible. He was playing it nice because he wanted you on his side. He does it differently when I'm there.
Oh no, he drove the first time I ever drove in the car with him in LA, when he came out here, and I was like, dude, fucking dude, like chill. Like he was sitting on the freeway and he's like out edge of his seat, like ready to jump out the window and punch someone. I'm like, can you can you calm down? Like, can you dial it back by like 1,000, please? No, he gets super amped up behind the wheel, and he is a very aggressive driver. But he doesn't scare me quite as much as he freaks you out. So.
The Leviathan, thank you for the super chat. It was on my channel, Our Queen. Would you join? If it already happened, then I technically can't join, but I don't really know too much about the Punisher to keep up a conversation. I know like the bare minimum. That was never a character I cared for, and I think it's because I watched that movie when I was younger and I didn't like it.
I never saw the movie when I was younger, so I knew about it. I think I never saw it because the big thing was, John Travolta's Punisher, and I'm not a big
John Travolta was in the Punisher?
Yeah, he was the Punisher in one of the ones that came out like during our
Where's that one?
What?
I want to see John Travolta in the Punisher. That'd be hilarious.
I don't. Because he was in the film adaptation. What year was that one? That was just the one I remember coming out. Let's see the other version. Okay, in other media. There we go. What?
It was in 2004. He was the Punisher.
Yeah, because I remember that one coming out.
He's not the Punisher. He's the bad guy in so I have seen this.
I thought he was
the one that my mom had on or something. Okay. He's not the Punisher.
Oh, okay. I always thought he was. I guess I think he was a big deal in it. He was like an important character in it. I just never saw it because I didn't like him. And
here we go. Andre Johnson. Thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, Travolta was the villain. Okay. Thank you, Andre, for that. I honestly never knew that because I just have never seen it. I just knew he was a big deal part of it. And I was like, and I didn't like him, so I didn't go see it. So my first experience with Frank Castle was like my first seeing him depicted in film or on screen was in the Marvel stuff. So
this guy that played the Punisher, I should have paid more attention. He's handsome.
In that one?
The guy that plays the Punisher in this movie. Apparently is his name. He looked good in that movie.
Well, now that I know he was the bad guy, now I might go see it.
Oh my god, this is the dude. He did not age well. He's the dude in The Expanse with the stupid mohawk. Well, he looked a lot better in that Punisher movie. Wow, that is a stark difference. Yeah, from
Slick Rick says Dolph Lundgren, and I might have known Jeff. Dolph Lundgren was the first Punisher in a movie.
Then that makes more sense in this dude. Here, Jessi, let me show you. Let me do a screen share. Let me show you what this guy looked in the Punisher, and then I'll show you what he like. Look at that! Like he looks hot right there. Like
I did that. I should have paid more attention. I 100% would have seen this movie back then if I had known more about it.
Yeah, okay, but then let's go look at him in The Expanse. You're gonna see how terrible he fucking looks. Where is it?
Yeah, I was 14 in 2004. I didn't know stuff.
What the fuck is this shit? What is that? What is this haircut?
Weird,
and he's in love with a chick that he's never met, and it's weird.
He's still what?
He's in love with a chick that he'd never met.
I've only ever seen one person pull off that haircut, and he is a super gay dude. So, and it would totally work for him, but he was also like really, really gay, and that's why he's a comedian. He's hilarious. But it definitely worked for him, mostly because then he would walk up. He's like, what was one of his bits was like, if you can't tell by my haircut, I'm gay. Because look, I'm not like straight up not trying to be offensive. That is quite literally a gay. Like people say my hair, that's a gay haircut. So. But yeah,
Miller is cool as fuck. Don't knock him. I'm not. I'm just saying he looked. The costume designer and makeup and the hair person did not do him any favors in The Expanse. He looked good in The Punisher, but I didn't say anything about his acting. His acting was good. I did a video that actually got flagged. I only did one Expanse video, and it was me talking about how the cinematographer and the director, how they worked together so well with the lighting and the it's kind of like when you watch scenes and when you go back and watch them, everything was telling you that exactly how it was going to happen. Like the way that the characters were lit, the way that they were placed. It was like you knew exactly who was going to die, like the executioner type of scene, and whose side everyone was on without any of the characters having to talk. Mm-hmm. It was a really, really good and well shot scene. And he's a really good actor. His haircut is fucking terrible in that show.
That was bad.
Mr. Another, thank you for the super chat. I had that haircut. What's wrong with it?
Nothing's wrong with
It's a very
it.
hard thing to pull off.
Are you married to a man? Because if you're gay, then
Thank
there's
you,
nothing.
Will. Thank you. You see, I didn't say anything about his acting. I'm sure he's a cool dude. That hair, that costume. Oh goodness. Especially since he had like a professional type job. He looked more professional dressed like the Punisher than he had with that stuff.
Yeah.
You haven't watched The Expanse yet, have you?
I've not. No, I've not. It's something I do want to watch. I've heard. I've been.
I'm gonna try. Am I pixelated still?
What?
Am I pixelated?
You are clear. You are clean and clear.
Well,
multiple people have pitched The Expanse to me, so I'm definitely gonna jump on that at some point because it does sound great.
I think I'm at episode 1 of season 3, I believe. But yeah, you'll have to watch. It's good. I don't know. I feel like I had to do because I had watched, I think, some of Gary's videos on it, or I had heard Gary talk about it in live streams. I was a little bit more prepared because there's some things about it that are a bit confusing, but obviously if you watch further, you learn more. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those shows that it's like you're connecting dots and stuff. Mr. Nether, thank you for the super chat. And after I read the super chat, we are going to say our farewells because we have been going for over 2 hours.
Oh, good. Look at us go, though. Actually, we got through our topics.
We did this time.
We're close to the 2 hour mark. We were only a half an hour late, not an hour. Look at us go. We're getting our shit together. Slowly but surely, we're getting our shit together.
Mr. Nether, thank you for the super chat. I'll have you know I've been hit on by lots of gay men. What's wrong with that? Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Compliment.
But I think we cracked the code. I think we figured out why, in case you're ever wondering. It was that haircut.
But anyways, guys, thank you so much for being here. Next week, it is going to be over on Jessi's channel. The link is in the description below. This stream is actually going to be set to unlisted, and I'm going to re-upload it onto my secondary channel because I was leaving them up, and it killed my algorithm.
I got it. My algorithm is already in the toilet. I'm going to start an archive channel as well, too. Oh, and also next week, because of that $50 super chat, I believe it was Andre Johnson. Perfect.
I'm not watching it.
This is exactly what I was going to talk about today. So do you want me to read it?
Yes.
He says, hello to my favorite duo of all time. Much love, Jessi. Are you doing the Dark Phoenix watch after this? No, Andre, I'm not going to do it after this. I know originally I was talking about doing it, but I've got a great team I've got my Sean's coming on. We're going to be discussing the Looney Tunes, the removal of guns in Looney Tunes and the rampant canceling that's going on. If you're into guns, we'll be talking a little guns tonight too. It's because Jeff and I are also, if anyone's in the market too, it's a great opportunity if you're curious about guns, gun laws, gun rights, gun culture. Bring your 2A questions, bring your technical questions, because we are going to be getting into a little bit of a discussion of like first-time firearm owners, because Jeff and I are thinking about becoming those. And so it'll be a really fun stream. 2 great personalities plus Jeff. But next week after I'll be hosting the Matriarchy. So instead of doing, I usually don't do an evening stream then. Jeff and I are going to crack open the beers, or the bazaars as we call them, and get wrecked while watching Dark Phoenix. So next week, I promised you this month I'd get to it. So next week, it'll be Wednesday evening. There you go. That's going to happen. So you have that to look forward to. And Anna will not be present. We gave her a pass on that because we care about her sanity and her mental health.
If she dies, though, send me pictures because that'll make me happy.
I will.
Because I fucking hate. I hate that character. I waited for 10 fucking years for Sansa to die on Game of Thrones. Bitch didn't fucking die.
How about this? While we're streaming, I will text you all of the terrible things that happened to her. Anytime something bad happens to her, or she looks stupid, or does or says something stupid, I'll tell you about it.
Ruben Wilson, thank you for the super chat. Slayer. I don't know what that's a reference to, but thank you. And then Barb Rogers, Little Miss Sunburn. Thank you for the super chat. I do not know what it says, so let me pull up the live chat right now so I can see what that was. Or I could just do this, actually. Let's do this. I wish it did show up on StreamYards. That's one of the frustrating things. Oh, it's a little dog. I can't tell if that's thumbs up or going like this. Like,
oh. Oh.
But thank you. Oh, look, there's a cat.
This is Jane.
Kitty, kitty.
I was looking at the picture the other day of when the first time I ever held him at your dad's house before I put my little baby home, and he was. It's like you see him in my arms now. He's a full-fledged cat. He takes up space. He's getting away because he's too hot to be petted. He's got the thickest coat of any of them, so he doesn't want to be held right now, but he still loves the attention. But it's so fun. My hands look big. My hand looks big in the first picture I ever took with him. I've got him against my chest, and my hand is bigger than his entire body. You see a little head peeking out the top, and it's just so cute, and I want to die.
I know, they were so little. How is he bigger or is the other one bigger?
They are actually roughly, the last time I weighed them, they were almost the same weight. Jane was a few ounces bigger. Mal was always the bigger one when they were little. Then he got sick, and Jane got bigger. And then they flip-flopped as they've been growing. Mal is skinny. He's not as tall. He's not as long, and he's not as thick. He's a skinny.
Which one is the one with the wider face?
Mal has the wider face. That wide face with the silly eyebrows. He was the silly eyebrow one. He's around here somewhere. A shit pancake. But Jane was the one that initially. Mal was the one. I don't know if you remember this. This is one of the cutest things when we were feeding them on the counter, and one of them fell off. That was shit pancake. And that was Mal. And that was one of the reasons too why that was one of the many factors into me taking them both home, because I was always going to take Jane. But then I was gonna I felt bad because I was like, oh, he fell off the counter because he was trying to like play and do all this stuff, and I'm going to take this precious little boy. So I'm glad that was like, honestly, I can't imagine, because I was only going to take one. I was on the fence about taking Annie. You had already decided before I came up there that I was taking one. And
you're taking another cat.
and you practically decided for me that I was taking the other one too. And I'm thrilled that I made that decision. That was one of those decisions people talk about, like weighing options and buyer's remorse and stuff like that. Not for a second. There was no point. As I'm driving home, 5 hours down the highway, and with my little baby's lying, sleeping in the chair next to me and then sleeping in my lap, there was no moment. There were moments where I was like, holy fuck, I have 4 cats now. There was not a single moment where I thought I shouldn't have taken the second one. I really shouldn't have got new cats or more kittens or 2 of them or whatever, and, et cetera. There was not a single moment. There was just the moment where they would meow for me to feed them or look up into my eyes and into my soul, and I cried for them. And if I hadn't, shit pancake is Jeff's favorite. If I hadn't had him, God knows if our relationship would have lasted. So
I'm like, I should have left Jack because then maybe he would still be alive.
Don't beat yourself up about that. Think maybe, you know what? Maybe he would have died sooner because he was renting, he didn't have anyone taking care of him, So you can't beat yourself up about it. Accidents happen, and if that hadn't happened, and if all that hadn't happened, you wouldn't have found your beloved Ziggy and Stardust. So,
fucking shitheads.
And Anna goes, God damn! I wish I had Jack instead.
Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for watching. Matriarchy is going to be on Jessi's channel next week. This is going to be uploaded onto my secondary channel, that's Star Wars Girl Lies, so make sure you're subscribed there. I will be re-uploading it after that it's done processing, and it will be up there because all of my live streams are members only here on this channel, and that's how it's going to be for now until the end of time. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching and tuning in. And
you just got a super sticker from Andre Johnson.
Oh, thank you. I have no idea what it is.
It's a dancing pear that says "You are amazing."
Aw, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Good
and Jessi will see you tomorrow, next week, for the terrible thing that you are going to make her do.
Yes, and so next week we'll still have the Matriarchy at its regular time on Mindless Entertainment, and then later in the evening me and Jeff, not Anna, will subject ourselves to Dark Phoenix. We suffer for you. That's my parting words. We suffer for you.
Well, with that being said, everyone, have a great rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and may the Force be with you, because we are really, really, really going to need it. Bye, everyone.
He did. He wrote the script, which I'm sure a lot of people don't necessarily realize.
You just want to say, fuck you.